I like to call that piece royalty-free music. What do you think, Neil?
In-house music, man.
Hey!
Made that up.
So, for those who are just tuning in, hello, this is Sean Skilligan.
And Neil Thompson.
And we are Narcoleptic Cow.
Yes.
And we are here to do a podcast, our very first podcast episode.
To which we're calling Film Digestive.
Yes, because it's a cool name, and these days podcasts run cool names. And I'm excited, man. How are you?
Yeah, so we're gonna be here for like maybe an hour, maybe two. Depends on when we get bored. Talking about some movie stuff that we like.
Yeah. It's very, very cool stuff at the moment, and everything's going smoothly.
Yeah, totally.
So, Neil, let's start things off. Who are we, and how are we doing?
Well, I don't know about you. I'm just a graduate who's looking for work.
That's a really good story to tell. We should make that into like one of our shorts.
It's boring as crap. Why would you ever make a story about that?
I mean, you know, Ken Loach can make stories about people struggling and make it interesting. Then I guess so can we.
Sure, make the soundtrack all Nirvana.
Yes. Wait, what? Okay, so let's start things off. So Neil, what do you want to talk about?
How much do you know about Indiegogo?
The website.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know like Indiegogo, but I'm more familiar with like stuff of like Patreon and whatnot. And I think
GoFundMe.
Yeah, and GoFundMe. I think there's also another website that I'm thinking of, but I can't remember. I think the website I'm thinking of was used for Blue Ruin and that film's budget. But you know, so what have we got to bring to the table regarding Indiegogo?
Well, I'll tell you a tale. It was 2016. It was at the height of the CW's Arrowverse. Are you familiar with the Arrowverse?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Ran too long, but you know.
Yeah, so coming off of that, a dude called Jeff Chan got in contact with Stephen Amell and Robbie Amell and said that he wanted to do a small film. It was called Code 8. You ever heard of it?
Code 8. I think we were talking about this like at one point. Yeah, I think from what I've heard of the news, it's Stephen and his cousin Robbie are going to be a part of this like film project.
Yeah, so they were brought in and they made like a small short. Stephen couldn't make it because of schedule conflicts with Arrow. So it was mainly just Robbie. He did get like a small voiceover bit in that, but he wasn't in the short originally. It was mostly just for the campaign. And so they put the short film up on Indiegogo, and because I was crazy for the Arrowverse at the time, I decided to pitch into that. So they were originally looking for about $200,000 to make this thing, which for an indie film is pretty modest.
Yeah.
You want to know how much money came in for it?
Oh, how much?
$2.1 million.
Jesus Christ, really?
That's over 1,000% of what they were looking for.
That's crazy.
It is.
Damn, fuck. That's crazy.
That's absolutely nuts, man.
Yeah, so are you hoping that the project like pays off in terms of like, you know, it being a funded project?
Well, it's 2020 now, and just before Christmas of 2019, I got my digital copy of the film.
Oh.
So, yeah, what we're talking here is an X-Men film, essentially. So, what's going on here is you got an entire world where 4% of the population are born with mutant powers, right?
Yeah.
So it stars Robbie. I don't remember what his character is called. Let's call him Bub.
Let's just call him Robbie. Like.
Sure. That's a lot easier to remember.
That's our pitch. Robbie Amell is playing Robbie Amell, and he happens to be an X-Man.
Yeah. So rather than go for like the racism card, this guy the film goes for a more gritty tale. But one thing I will say at the beginning, there is no heroes in this flick, right? With these people that are born with powers, obviously people are scared of that. People that are suddenly able to like click their fingers and people turn on fire or burst into a flash of light or whatever it is that they do, or levitate things off the ground. It's scary. People don't want to deal with that.
Super scary.
And so these people are kind of ostracized and they have less opportunities for work. And so quite often they end up in poverty. And that's what's happened here. So Robbie has been born with these electricity powers, which, first of all, I love electrokinesis. It's the coolest power to me. There was a show called Static Shock. Do you remember it?
The animated show.
Yeah.
I remember the theme song, and I remember that I remember the show existed. I don't remember I remember watching it, and I remember liking it, but I don't think it was one of those like things that I was like, oh man, that was like my shit back in the day.
Yeah.
But it was one of those like things where I liked it enough to remember it, I guess.
Yeah, like DC, whilst they may not be doing well live action, they can do animation, man. They can do animation so well. So yeah, that the main character from that had electrical powers, and I just thought that was the coolest thing. So same deal here. Both him and his mother have powers, except hers are kind of putting her in danger right now. She has like a mutated form of cancer, essentially.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So he needs money fast so that he can pay for her treatments, because unlike here, they got to pay for their medical bills. It sucks.
So it's kind of like a mixture of the X-Men and Heat. Like in terms of like it's a heist film, I'm guessing.
It's kind of like a superhero criminal heist sort of idea. It kind of meshes genres a bit. So what's going on here is he quite often this guy sits on the side of the road, or he's talking to the guy that runs the jobs, just looking for work. And he will take whatever kind of labor stuff he wants, but people are ostracized, and this is a little bit in the future. So they've got like drones. Like at first, when you see it, it's like the CGI doesn't look all that good, but then you realize they're actually a lot bigger than you imagine, because they're actually carrying these like robots, which then come down and police the entire area. And they like have it's essentially Big Brother. They got like cameras that go in and search your face, and then they check whether or not you're registered, because you got to be registered if you have powers. Yeah, it's a whole thing. And so they check all these people, whether or not they're powers and whether or not they have a record. And they find one of the people on the building site that he has kind of record, and he tries to run. And it's pretty clear that there's some discrimination going on here. And, you know, it feels a little bit weak playing that card, but at the same time, it's a real thing to happen. Just getting accused of that, the second you have a record, boom, we got a reason to lock you up. Yeah, that's the story that's basically going on. People who are being ostracized, despite the fact that that they have power, having the chance to use that. Like there are people who are less powerful than them, treating them like they are the lesser being, and because of the social hierarchy that they have going on, they're still being treated as lesser. So what's going on here is he's given the opportunity for a job, but instead these other dudes turn up say that they're looking for an electric. This is when Stephen Amell's character come in. This guy called Garrett, right? So he takes him to this power plant and essentially tells him to break in. Now, at first, Robbie tells him that he's class 2, which he does. And now, I think they never state how the power system works, but I think it's between 1 and 5, with 1 being the lowest power, 5 being the highest power. And so he tells him that he's a class 2 and he can do the job. But then when he's electrifying the fence, it's clear he's a little bit more powerful than that. So Robbie, he's quite powerful electric. They essentially rob this. That like it's made pretty clear from the play that goes on from there that Garrett is an experienced criminal. So essentially, there's this drug trade going on. This is established a little bit. I should have mentioned this. So yeah, well, this
I feel like I'm watching the whole movie.
Yeah, should I be telling that?
I mean, I don't know. I was actually going to ask like when is it out? Is it out now?
I'm pretty sure it's out now. They released it. They released it in America not too long ago to coincide when people were getting the digital copy, so that everyone would have it accessible at the time. But yeah, I probably shouldn't go too much into detail. But what's going on is.
Yeah, how is it as a movie? Is it well made, well shot, all that sort of stuff?
I would say it's probably as good as you expected it to be. Like for a budget as low as, I mean, I say as low. It's $2.1 million. But you know that's not bad. It's got Robbie Amell, Stephen Amell, and also has Sung Kang, who starred in the Fast and Furious franchise a bit.
But yeah, I mean, when you get a cast like that with like a budget, I mean, it's no Avengers budget, but it's still quite impressive considering that like they went to Indiegogo and asked a bunch of people like for the budget. It's very impressive. Like
it had well over like 1,000 backers or something like that.
It reminds me of like a sci-fi equivalent to like Blue Ruin. Well, both of them sound like very different films. Blue Ruin, like I don't remember what the website was, but it's basically in similar structure to Indiegogo, where they had they had this filmmaker called Jeremy Saulnier who wanted to make a film called Blue Ruin, and the first film he made was a movie called Murder Party, which came out in 2007. And then somewhere in the early 2010s, he came up with an idea for a film called Blue Ruin, which around 2011, I think he did like a Coen Brothers technique where Coen Brothers made a film called Blood Simple, but before they'd done that, they shot clips of the film, went around to people's houses with like an 8mm or 35mm projector, and we're all like, "Hi, we're looking for investors to invest in this movie we made. Would you like to invest in this project?" So with this website, you have like Jeremy Saulnier, who was like, "Hey, here's a couple of clips I filmed for this movie. Whoever like pays this amount of money will get awarded this, this, and that. Even a credit in the film for like paying money to sort of like get it made." Yeah. And eventually it got made and was released around 2012, and I think even got shown at the Cannes Film Festival.
All right.
Yeah, and Jeremy Saulnier, like the best story for that, he said like he only put it in there just for shits and giggles. Like generally he didn't even think he was gonna get picked up to get in there, and it's generally one of the best like inspirational stories regarding filmmakers. Like I'm amazed that like Code 8 managed to get made in that regard.
It broke the budget that it was looking for really quickly, and it was only sometime recently that it got over the 2.1 budget. So the box office came out at 18.2 million. So it did well for itself, and it's definitely like a higher class of tale than what you would normally expect from a token superhero. So that's actually a disconnect, because it's a better and more complex story than what's going on in the Arrowverse. Like, did you ever watch the Arrowverse?
No, I remember we talked about this like ages ago. In fact, if I remember talking to most people who are fans of the shows, that I don't watch them because there's like 24-hour-long episodes and like God knows how many seasons.
Yeah.
And I got like other shows I'd rather be watching.
And then other shows along with that.
Yeah, I even got one that by the end of the podcast I'm going to make a bit of a fair one, but anyway, go on.
I think it's something that you really had to be invested in at the time. That's something that, as soon as I heard about Arrow, I was onto it, because around about the time I was looking at a lot of DC shows. I was watching like The Batman, Justice League Unlimited, all the classic shows, and then at one point, I didn't actually know what Green Arrow was. That was the first time I'd ever heard of that particular character, and so I started looking up stuff. I actually did a piece of art for it once. Like, I got like a image from a still frame of a comic book of Green Arrow, and then I drew that for my DeviantArt page, because I did a bit of that at the time. And then I heard that the show was coming out for it, and I watched the trailer. It was great. Like, I like the concept for that, and Stephen Amell, like, perfect actor for it. I mean, the way that they do it isn't the classic Green Arrow. It kind of leans into Batman territory.
Yeah, I think I've heard that was like not really a common thing, but like it kind of like went into like Batman territory with its plot. Where
it was the worst around season 3. A lot of people were pissed off because like they spend too much time on Oliver and Felicity's character. Like they kind of did the whole will they won't they for way too long, even though it was obvious they were going to. And not only that, they took this plot line where they were bringing in the League of Shadows to do the whole Ra's al Ghul thing, despite the fact that that's Batman's fucking arc.
Yeah, like, I don't really know much about, like, Arrow. All I know was, like, it went on for, like, far too long, apparently.
Yeah,
like
Arrow and The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Supergirl, they got Batwoman now.
Yeah, which a lot of people have been upset by that. I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, I haven't watched it.
Like,
I dropped off the Arrowverse after the season finale of Arrow season 5, because like at that point it was pretty obvious that they weren't planning to do anything new with the plot. Things were getting pretty boring, and also to keep track of like 4 or 5 different shows to watch all of that for the continuity, it's hard. It's too much work. You don't want to watch all of that and put that much effort into it. I mean, Legends of Tomorrow was all right. Like a lot of people have been saying that the Legends of Tomorrow is a bit more loose and quirky, so it's a lot more fun to watch. Like my grandmother, before she passed away last year, she watched it, and that's quite something for me, because she didn't commonly watch a lot of that stuff. She was more into like murder mysteries, and she was the kind of person that watched Murder, She Wrote on like reruns, and she was watching Legends of Tomorrow, so that's quite a thing.
That's cool. Like I just give imagine her sitting there with like a little like superhero cup and all like, oh, it's tomorrow. This is amazing.
Yeah.
How come you didn't tell me about this?
Yeah,
Mr. Marple ain't got shit on these guys.
My grandma's great, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So some people would say that was all right, but the rest of them, it's just derivative at this point. All the characters have become like one note of themselves, and then they try to do these crossover episodes, which Fair enough. They're impressive. It's probably like the most ambitious crossover events in television history.
Yeah,
you got like five or six different shows now that are all crossing over at the same time.
The Crisis on Infinite Earth thing, yeah.
Yeah, Crisis on Infinite Earth.
I remember I remember hearing about that, and like when you go into IMDb and like use like their news thing for your source of news for movies and shit, it's quite insane like that they managed to like get this Crisis on Infinite Earth thing like going.
Yeah.
Forgive the broken English there. I don't know what that was. But it's quite incredible that they managed to like do all that, especially for like such a modest television budget.
3 dudes in particular have done a lot of work towards it. They've also been doing some sides on the comic book side of things, because there were a couple of comic books that came out to tie in with the series, and they were also responsible for the stories there. So they've done a lot of work into it. But the problem is the writing isn't as good as it was, and the show's kind of fallen off from that point. That's why I didn't watch after that. And I didn't even watch Elseworlds, which was the crossover event before Crisis of Infinite Earths. But from what I've been heard, it's a mess. And this is why I want to talk about this right now, because Code 8, along with a lot of other media, is kind of showing a renaissance for superheroes right now. I mean, Marvel's going ahead and doing its own thing with the MCU. You know what you're going to get. But in terms of superhero shows, we're getting some new stuff recently. Like The Boys, Watchmen, Legion, and Doom Patrol most recently have been doing new things with the genre. Titans, it's terrible. Don't watch it.
I wasn't gonna, but okay.
I watched the first season, and the end of that was inconclusive. And then I watched the first episode of season 2. It's bad. Like, it's horrible.
The only thing I knew about it was that one of my friends is a huge fan of DC. And I think he kept recommending the show just to sort of give it out, and I'm like, just to sort of try it. It's, you know,
DC has been making so many bad decisions lately, and this is hard because I'm a huge DC fan. I was more on DC than I was Marvel.
Yeah, like the only thing I know about like the Titans is the meme where you have like Robin beat up some people, and people are like, "Where's Batman?" And Robin like does an edgy thing where like he spits out blood and something, and just sort of goes, "Batman."
Yeah,
and that became kind of a meme.
That was the main thing for it, and that was supposed to be like showing his independence from Batman and transitioning from going from Robin to Nightwing, which is a cool story. It's been done before. For example, back in like the 2000s, they had a cartoon series about Teen Titans, which many people remember fondly.
Yeah. Are you talking about the amazing new season of Teen Titans?
Are you talking about Teen Titans Go? That fucking abomination?
No, that's the Teen Titans we're talking about. You know, the very serious, very dramatic, funnily animated comedy that is Teen Titans.
I hate it so much. I hate it so much.
Okay.
And this is turning into a rant, and I don't want to subject these people to this.
Let's calm it down a little bit. I'm sorry. So Teen Titans, as you were saying.
Yeah. That like they've done so many good things with animation, DC, and it's hard to watch them fall down when you have that much faith in them, because you know they can do better, except the way they did The Killing Joke.
I think like DC stock is kind of a weird like up and down sort of thing.
I think it's just the people in charge. They have very different ideas on where comics should be right now.
Like I'm not much of a comic book reader myself. I'm more go for like some of the more entertainment stuff, like their television, but not much television shows. I mostly go by some of their movie stuff, and it actually links to a subject I want to talk about later on. But I don't know if you have like a few things you want to get off your chest regarding what they've been doing with like some of the shows and whatnot.
I mean, yeah. So enough about the Arrowverse. What my main point is that Code 8 kind of signals, because it mainly had Robbie Amell behind it. He was managing the campaign for a really long time. I'm hoping that signals that they will do more serious stuff in the future, because it's not the first stuff, because Robbie Amell has also been in some superhero stuff. He was in part of The Flash. He was like the first half of Firestorm, Ronnie Raymond, for a time, until he was replaced by Jefferson Jackson, I think his name was. Yeah, as that part. And then he also did the Tomorrow People, which...
Oh, the time travel or superhero show. I remember that got advertised like crazy on E4.
It was all right to begin with, but then it just didn't go on. Like it didn't gain enough of an audience. So I wouldn't have said it was terrible.
It didn't surprise me. It didn't really appeal to me. I mostly went on to E4 in the time to watch Misfits, the greatest. Pardon me, that was terrible.
Yeah.
The greatest superhero show of all time. I'm kidding. It kind of went downhill at some point, but you know, they were promoting the show like crazy. That was like the first time I saw Robbie Amell, and I thought to myself, man, he looks like a total hunk.
He is a total hunk.
Yeah, I mean, he has like a. Then like after that, I kind of saw him in like 9 Lives, the cat film, and I kind of thought, wow, he's not doing so well after the Tomorrow People. That's for sure.
God, no! Don't start talking about felines.
Yeah, felines.
Because I'm pretty sure I know where that's gonna lead you.
Oh, whoa, okay. Oh yes.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard.
It's a masterpiece, is all I'm gonna say. Cats 2019 is a disaster, but man, I love it. I have like such a fondness for it.
In the same way that you have a fondness for a dumpster fire.
Yeah, it's nice to. It's kind of it's bizarrely appealing to look at, and it's like, man, the smell it's giving off is very weird and kind of funky, but I like it.
Wait, you got a smell from it?
The dumpster fire? What, from cats?
Yes.
No, I'm pretty sure the only smell we get from it is
Didn't
awkward.
think we were in the 4D age yet.
I mean, the only thing that you get from cats is not really like an assault. It's not like an assault on the smell, but it's certainly like an assault on the senses. It's fucking crazy and so bizarre to look at. And what I find amazing about it is just you have these really wonderful actors and even singers just subject themselves to this like nonsense.
I think
it's amazing.
a lot of them signed on based on the popularity of Cats, not knowing how horrible it would look.
Yeah, and I think it was one of the cases where even like Tom Hooper. Speaking of which, have you heard about what he was up to like before the film even got released?
Do I want to know?
Oh, it's not bad. Nothing weird. Nothing. He wasn't doing anything.
I thought you were about to say Me Too there.
No. He didn't do. No. Tom Hooper sounds like a cool dude. It's more that
he did some alright music. Was he the second guy to do Harry Potter? I'm pretty sure it was John Williams for the first 3 films, and then maybe
John. You mean like in terms of directing? It wasn't John Williams. John Williams did the score. Tom Hooper didn't do Harry Potter films. There was, I think, Chris Columbus did the first 2. Then you had Alfonso Cuarón, directing the third one, and then after that, you had like Mike Powell Newell, who directed the 4 Weddings and a Funeral, directing the 4th one.
Nah, I'm looking more towards the score.
No, Tom Hooper didn't do Tom Hooper wasn't the composer; he's the director. He directed The King's Speech.
There's someone else named Hooper. It must be that guy.
Yeah, probably thinking someone called Hooper. Hooper's a very common name. So what happened? It was actually kind of ill publicized as well. What happened? He stated in an interview while the premiere was going on that they were editing the film whilst it was coming out.
Oh yeah, I heard some word about that. I think I mentioned it to you before. It was just basically getting the Sonic the Hedgehog treatment.
Yeah, and then and like they were pretty much like editing it still right before it came out into the premiere into cinemas. And what I find hilarious is that I went to see it on Christmas Eve with my little brother. And when we watched it, before we watched it, we heard that there was still a lot of mistakes left in the movie.
Yeah.
I didn't notice a whole lot of them. But the big one that I did notice was the fact that if you look at Judi Dench's hand near the end, you see like a wedding ring. You see she has a wedding ring on.
Yeah.
And it looks like a human hand. I think to myself, oh no. Oh my word. It's an unfinished movie. We pretty much got the video game equivalent of a film where just it's unfinished and unpolished. And I find it amazing that we have a film like Cats, and I find it amazing that it exists.
We could lead into that. What's your thought on video game movies?
Oof. I don't know. I'm not much of a video game like guy myself. I'm more into like my films and television. But I think in terms of like what's going on lately, I think their better approach is definitely like television these days, because I think we're getting a lot more television adaptations of them, just because there's a lot more leeway and a lot more room to breathe in rather than just sort of like going for a film where, you know, you have to try condense all of your lore into this 2-hour film, which works better for some stuff if it's television. Speaking of television, the only like adapted related thing that I've seen, but I think it's more like in terms of the books rather than the video game, is The Witcher.
Yeah, I watched The Witcher on Netflix. I tried playing the game. Like, I knew about The Witcher 1 and 2, but I don't think it was ported to PS4 or Xbox because it was a lot earlier. But then you got Witcher 3, which was immensely popular when it came out. Like, it was all anyone was talking about. But I got, like, a copy of that, and I wasn't really that taken with it. And you know me, I'm into, like, fantasy worlds and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Highly invested. But for some reason, the world of The Witcher just wasn't really appealing to me. I was a lot more appealed by this series, though, because it's just more alive to me.
Yeah, I'm not huge in the high fantasy concept. It was never my thing. I'm one of the few idiots, would say, in the world who think Lord of the Rings is kind of overrated. And I say idiots because I know there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be unhappy hearing the statement.
I love the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I mean, The Hobbit wasn't up to the same degree, but I appreciate what Peter Jackson was trying to do.
Yeah, I appreciate it too. I just don't think it paid off. I think it paid off. I just don't think it's my thing. Anywho, with The Witcher, the reason why I watched it was because my friend Emma fucking loves The Witcher. The games, the books.
Oh, there are loads of people that love it.
Yeah, she loves it to a point where I think when the trailer, when it was announced, he was like, "Hey, listen, would you mind giving the show a watch? Because I know you don't play a lot of video games, and I was and I know you don't like the high fantasy genre, and even though you're now getting back into books, it might probably give you a chance to sort of see how the world is."
It's definitely the best Henry Cavill's ever done.
Hell yeah! So I was like, sure, I'll give it a watch. I like Henry Cavill. I want to support him as an actor because I think there's a lot of potential for him. He just kind of picks the worst stuff. Maybe not the worst. He just sort of always attaches himself to like stuff that
badly handled projects.
Yeah, either that I'm not going to watch or badly handled.
Dude, half the reason that I didn't watch the rest of the DC films after Dawn of Justice was because of Dawn of Justice. I hate that film so much. I was excited for it. I didn't even care that the concept was stupid, just having Batman and Superman fight, because I had seen that before. I read The Dark Knight Returns. I had seen the animated version of that. There's like an animated version of the Dark Knight Returns comic book. It's split into part 1 and part 2. It's all animated.
And you had like Peter Weller voicing Batman.
It's incredible. Like I said, they can do animation, but when it comes to the live action, I hate that film so much. I didn't even mind like Jesse Eisenberg though. Like everyone was complaining about him as Lex Luthor, and yes, he's dumb, but I didn't mind him. That was all right. It was when we got to the Doomsday shit, and then Batman being totally okay with killing people, where I was just like, why?
Yeah, so as you can tell, Henry Cavill hasn't been doing the best stuff. But with Witcher, I think what really sold me on watching the show, not just because my friend wanted me to check it out so we can have something to talk about and sort of like enjoy the same passion, was that I love the fact that the creators and the showrunner and the writers were clearly dedicated to making this show the best it can be. I love the fact that a majority of the actors were huge into doing it. Like Henry Cavill apparently is a huge fan. Like I'm pretty sure he was on board the minute they offered him the job, and you could definitely tell when you watch it that the passion on screen is just irresistible.
Have you heard this? You've watched the series, so you know the song.
Toss a coin to you, Witcher, oh valley of plenty.
It's a good song, man. It's just catchy.
It got stuck in my head for like a good week afterward.
I didn't see it immediately. I knew it was up on Netflix. I just didn't get around to it until like a week or so later. And then for that entire week, Facebook was just plowed with okay, bad word, but plowed with like memes saying that this is the best thing ever. It overtook Baby Yoda in like terms of popularity.
Yeah, I find it amazing that like the song is doing so well. It's kind of a shame though, because I think the actual show, whilst being very good, you could definitely see the passion on screen.
I'm definitely gonna say Yasker's my favorite character.
That's
the minstrel.
Oh, I think there's a nickname for him in the games, Dandelion.
Yeah, like he's called Dandelion in the games because I think that's some more but Yasker is the name from the books.
He is my favorite character. I remember like my friend Emma, who again big fan of the books or the games rather, mentioned the character, and I'm like, right, okay, he better be as good as he sounds. As soon as he appeared on the show,
that guy is hilarious.
I messaged her. I just sort of said, I don't care about you. He's my favorite, and I see a lot of myself in that character, just running around being weird and hilarious.
It's like when he wakes up in the bed, and what's her name?
Yennefer.
Yennefer, yeah. Yennefer is trying to get the djinn off of him because he thinks that he has the wishes, and he just like wakes up and he doesn't even realize who she is, and he's just like, what? Wait, what did we? And then she turns around and just like, nope, I did not butter that biscuit.
I love the character. He's just like really, really well done. And it's a shame though, because with the quality of the show, it just kind of goes not downhill. It never went downhill for me.
No.
It was more that I think they tried getting all their eggs into the one basket. Like you could definitely tell that they were passionate about what they were doing. like apparently, and again talking when there's an advantage when you have like friends who are huge into this like series. It's based on like 3 different short stories.
The timelines kind of fucked me over.
And they tried to like fit all that into like the show.
They had like 3 different timelines going on. I saw like multiple characters in like younger versions of themselves, and I was just like, okay, where does this fit in?
It was like they're trying to do like a Tarantino-esque narrative. The only problem is that with Tarantino, at least it's clear cut. But with this, it's like, here's what this character is doing. Then here's what that character is doing. Then here's what this character is doing. It felt like Game of Thrones, except Game of Thrones, the timeline was kind of consistent. Where at least it was kind of in the same time period. Well,
Most of the time.
from when I was watching it anyway, I could have stopped watching at some point. So, but you already know that. And I don't know why I went to that voice there, but you know.
I'm good.
So with Witcher, I did like it. I just think if they're going to make a season 2, which I think they are, it's definitely been confirmed they're making a season 2.
It's coming later on. It's one of those series where you just know it's going to get a season 2.
Yeah, I think they've already confirmed it. I'm pretty sure Henry Cavill recorded a message where he was like, "Yeah, we're doing season 2, hooray!"
Yeah.
I think they need to like maybe make a bit more concrete.
I think even better than the character of Jaskier is his relationship to Geralt.
It's adorable.
Yeah, I've made you quite famous off of this. I could probably take a piece of your earnings. Instead, I shall ask a favor. F*** off, Bard.
Like, I love the chemistry between the two of them, and I think like honestly, my favorite episodes out of the show, which I want to see more of this in season 2, is just Geralt and Jaskier. That's how you pronounce his name?
Jaskier.
Jaskier. Just being friends. I want to see like more episodes like that. Like, I'll tell the episode with the Djinn is my favorite episode of the first season, purely because it's the purest like Geralt and Jaskier storyline we could see. It's Jaskier getting himself into some danger, Geralt just sort of being like, okay, we have a new conflict to solve now. Then you meet Yennefer, and that's all really cool and dandy.
You know, when I first played the game, I thought that Geralt was originally attracted to Triss, and that Yennefer, he like kind of cheated on her.
Yeah.
And so then there was this whole thing, but then later on they would have the whole thing where Triss kind of just figured that's how it was, and then he got together with Yennefer. I always saw that, but that's not actually how it goes, and now I know that because I've seen the series. And honestly, the way that they told Yennefer's story, that was paced. The way that they've told that is basically canonically correct. They've told it in like the correct timeline. It is a linear story, but it's probably the best.
I thought it was brilliant. Yeah, like the storylines. Like honestly, the 2 best storylines that the show had going for itself were Geralt and Yennefer. I mean, Ciri was fine, but I remember getting a bit annoyed because I remember talking to Emma about it, and she was like, or my friend about it, and I don't know if you could like name people, and I mean you could cut this part out. I was like making sure that I don't know, but yeah. Anyway, my friend Emma. She mentioned that Ciri's role in the story is very important. And I remember telling her that every time I got to Ciri, I just turned off my brain. I was very uninvested, just because the way they did it was very annoying, where they try and make you care about her as a character, and it's like, right, I'm spending less time with her as the show goes on. I kind of want to know what's happening, and it just sort of like got very confused.
Yeah, it started off in the game where Yennefer is already an established character, and like she's this beautiful mage who is jumping around for some reason. I didn't play all of the game, so I don't know what the full story is there. But you to start on the fact that she's a hunchback that supposedly came from another father, and she's been left to the side. She has barely any choice in life because she has no power and she has no looks. She basically has nothing going for her in this world.
I remember crying like at some point, and when you first see her, not because just because like you see her and like she's just so wholesome and this being really cool, and
yes, that's unfair because you get born this way. You don't get to control it. The circumstances of your birth is not your fault.
Yeah, and you get like these characters who just like attack her, and it's like, fucking, oh my god, stop it! You're making me sad. Someone help this poor woman, please, someone. And just I love her arc. I love her transformation from going from like troubled hunchback that people hate to becoming this like very strong and powerful character, and I think that arc is incredible.
There's a moral to that story.
Yeah, and
she's been treated like crap her entire life because of her looks, and she gets the opportunity to fix that. Essentially, make herself the most beautiful woman in the land, and that worked. And she thought that by doing that, she'd also gain a better handle on her powers. and she would go on to be one of the most powerful women in the entire kingdom. But then she spends pretty much like decades of her life in a much lower capacity than she saw herself. And at the same time, by going through that transformation, she lost the ability to have children, which she thought she didn't want. But then she spends the rest of the series trying to regain her fertility. It's a good model. It's essentially like you can chase after and become the thing that the world wants you to be, which you think you might want, but the truth is, it's not.
Yeah, it's a very fascinating conflict. But I kind of just but like I say, I wish the show was a bit more dedicated to some of its ideas, rather than just sort of going, here's Yennefer, here's Geralt, and then here's Ciri, and that's just my only problem with the show. Just the timeline is just completely jumbled, and you kind of lose interest in certain storylines.
Yeah.
I remember I think on the day it came out, or a couple of days after it came out, I watched the first 4 episodes and was thoroughly invested. How many episodes are there? 8?
9?
9 probably.
No, you're right. You were.
Yeah.
It's
and yeah, for the next episodes, I got a bit more lethargic of it. I watched 2, but I think I watched 1, and then I had 3 more left. And I think I managed to watch the last 3 in a day. I kind of got a bit uninvested because the plot was just going all over the place, and it just kind of got me uninvested.
I would say the world of The Witcher, I don't know. It's just been called the continent. That's the only. You don't have a full name for the world. It's just. That's all it's called, the continent. And then you have all the kingdoms that are on there. There are some concepts in there that are really interesting to me, which I myself am thinking about expanding on, or using as inspiration for my own world, which I'm creating because I like doing a bit of world building. The law of surprise is interesting to me. It's been, according to the lore, it's been around for longer than humanity itself, and it essentially means that when you save someone else's life, he can grant you as a reward the law of surprise. That means that which he has but does not know, which means it's a surprise. He doesn't even know what it is that he's going to get. The next great boon that he has, the next great luck that comes his way, you claim ownership over that.
Yeah, I thought the world was very unique. I mean, I will say, it's a lot bit. I found it to be a lot more. Maybe not a lot more, just because it's going to be kind of controversial to say. I watched Game of Thrones a little bit. I dunked out of it around season 5, not because not season 5, season 4, sorry. Not because I foresaw it was going to go downhill, but just because other shows came around and just, start watching it.
Seasons 1 to 6 are great. It's when season 7, I don't mind it as much, but it is definitely a dip in quality, and then season 8's just garbage.
Yeah, it got around to that where just things are going wrong, and I was just okay, well, why should I get back to this show?
It's the same thing that happens every single time. They run out of material from the books, they start making stuff up themselves, and it's horrible.
And I just and I think Witcher, it was just for me, Witcher was very refreshing, because I started hearing a lot of stuff where just the creators kind of started making up things as they went along for Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And that's really disheartening to hear, and it doesn't really sound that passionate. They could come off as being passionate, but it's one of those things where it's you're just pulling out things out of your ass now. That's not going to be that's not engaging storytelling.
And it was lazy writing. It was such lazy writing.
So with Witcher, watching something, and when you hear the behind the scenes stuff where the actors and the showrunners are man, even though we've kind of fucked the timeline up a little bit, we want to make the best show possible.
Yeah.
And I think as a show, I recommend it purely because at least there's a lot of charm and passion put into it. It kind of won me over just because I just love the dedication of the showrunners and the all of that and all that noise.
When you're watching a production that has that much into it, you can tell that the showrunners care.
Yeah.
And that's why I think people were so invested in Game of Thrones, because there was a lot of work put into it. But the creators were still, it's pretty clear, following the material that was in the book. And after they ran out of that, they just didn't know what to do. They were pretty much burned out.
Yeah, so Witcher was a refreshing change of pace, and I would be happy to watch a second season as long as they don't, do what they did with the first season, and just sort of go, here's all the plots. Because I can understand why they went, here's all the plots of the first season, just because you want to make sure you have a strong start and don't make sure the fans are happy.
Yeah.
That you've included this and that in there. But I don't know. Give it some breathing room is all I'm asking. Like, you know.
See, I always refer back to something that what's his name again? I've forgotten it now. It'll come to me.
All right.
The first guy to play Batman live action.
Oh, Michael Keaton. Television wise or
No, movie-wise.
Michael Keaton.
That's it.
Michael Keaton.
Yeah. Do you remember the remake of RoboCop?
I do. I watched it actually.
Yeah.
I watched it, and honestly, as a fan of the original RoboCop, I think it's a waste of time.
Sort of. I don't know.
I was getting ready to be like, actually, Sean.
Nah.
It's kind of an unforeseen masterpiece.
I don't know. I've seen like parts of RoboCop, and I started watching the first, like the original one, and it seems really rooted in 80s. Like I don't really know where the plot is going half the time, and there's this one point where it just seems like they're putting a robot cop in any given situation. I just don't know really where it's going, and that's where I drop off. But with RoboCop, it seemed to have like a mission. This remake, and then I always refer back to this particular quote, which Michael Keaton says in that film. People don't know what they want until you put it in front of them, and that's kind of what I think showrunners need to remember a lot of the time. It's that you can give the fans what you think they want, but the truth is they don't want it. You got to give them something that is wholly pure and original, straight from like your head, but like make sure it's well written.
Yeah.
Put as much care into it as you think is necessary, and then give it to the fans. And I know there's this disconnect because you don't really know how successful something is going to be until you put it out. God knows we know that because we've done that with our own short films.
Yeah.
Like until we put them out, we didn't know how well they were going to go. Like for Human, when I first pitched the script to you, you didn't really have a lot of confidence in it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I just thought it wasn't particularly that great. It just the dialogue wasn't that well written for me, and I kind of just thought it was just one of those things that I thought didn't work.
I mean, for most of the stuff that we've done since last year, a lot of it I've gone back to it and said, I wish I could have done that a bit better.
Yeah, I will say though, like in terms of my big positive of it, surprisingly, was actually the editing. It wasn't until like I offered to be the editor and I was kind of like I had reservations, but I was like, I'll do it. I'll help and edit, but I don't know. It just the script I don't like. I think the script is kind of terrible. And then like it wasn't until you plopped some of the stuff in front of me, like
it was
the
in
footage,
execution.
I was just like, what the fuck? I mean, the script is still garbage, but this is kind of really good. This is really good visually.
It's because I really wanted it to be good, and I put as much work into it as possible. I got like my friend director who has done directing professionally. I got him along to film it. I got a couple like talented people to come along and kind of do bits. Like I got David. You met David. He helped in Buzzard, which hasn't been as successful as we thought it was going to be, but I'm still happy that we went and did it.
Yeah, David's a cool cat. Shout out to David. You're a cool cat.
Yeah, we got him and a guy who came in from Glasgow for like an hour. I felt bad because, yeah, he came along all the way from Glasgow to shoot like 1 hour of film.
I mean, as long as he was happy to do it, you know.
Yeah, he seemed all right. At the end of it, he had to go all the way back to Glasgow, and that felt kind of bad because he was an all right dad. His name was Liam.
Yeah, he was alright, from what I've heard.
Yeah, he was an alright dude, and we got like good people behind it. And
what was the guy? Gerald.
Gerard.
Gerard was amazing as a guy you got. Like I thought he was alright.
Yeah, he did some alright work as Marvin Lyra. So that turned out well, but until we put it out there, we didn't really know how well it was going to go. And based on your reservations, I didn't know how well it was going to go. But it's our most viewed video.
Yeah, you thought we'd be sitting there editing the whole time, all like, this is fucking shit. You've made a terrible movie right here, Neil Thompson. But like I said, it was just the shots.
Yeah.
And I think as someone who was editing it, I was all like, I've got this idea, I've got that idea, I've got this, I got this, I got that. It was just the beauty of collaboration, where it was just like, okay, this shot is great. Can I do this with the editing? And you're like, sure. Because this shot is great. Can we try this out? This shot is great. Can we try this out? And I think in terms of editing, it was like one of the best experiences that I've had, just because it kind of had this like great effect where just, you know, visually it looked great, and I'm like, oh, I got this idea, we can do the edit of this, we could edit this, we can do that.
Yeah. I mean, we are in no way professionals.
Yeah.
But we can tell people things based on our experience. And from our experience, I think the best thing you can do is just put as much work into it as you can.
Yeah, even if you don't think it's going to work, sometimes you'll find bits of genius in there that you think that are probably going to like be very well done, even if it's like very little things. it'll work out just fine.
Yeah.
So also for those writing scripts, always proofread and always like go back to it.
Yep.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm having that trouble right now because like there was a short film that I think I pitched to you ages ago called Blood Money. I looked back at the script recently. I kind of want to rewrite it. I think some of the dialogue is terrible.
Yeah. We got rats.
Rats. Oh yeah. Have you caught that microphone? Those are just the rats. Don't worry.
Yep.
Also, Neil, just to carry on, I got something I want to like mention. You mentioned DC in this podcast, right?
Yes, several times.
Several times, a lot. Well, you fucking chill. So you may have heard about the Oscar nominations.
I haven't seen much about them, but yeah, I'm keeping track.
Yeah, Joker got nominated for like 11 Oscars.
Neo Taxi Driver.
Neo Taxi Driver. So I was actually wondering, like, this is how we can move on to like this because
First movie I've seen with Joaquin Phoenix.
Really?
Yep.
Wow, that's crazy. I figured like because you're talking about DC, I didn't want to cut in the middle of the thing there. So
I was interested to see Joker as soon as I heard about it, and then I watched it. It's not surprising that Robert De Niro is in it.
I mean,
it's Taxi Driver with a clown.
It's what would happen if King of Comedy and like Taxi Driver came together. In fact, I'm pretty sure that was the big like selling point of the film, where like a lot of where Todd Phillips pretty much came out and said, "Yeah, it's King of Comedy and Taxi Driver." But
What
it has
I found interesting about that film is that there have been like professional psychologists that have been analyzing that film, and they have said, like, we don't agree with the actions that the Joker has taken, but we understand where he's coming from, because in the society, he never had a chance. Every single person that he knew basically either disowned him or completely turned their back on him. He never had a single chance in his life to make something of himself because no one ever believed in him. And so he turned this way, and that makes sense. It makes sense that he became this monster of a person who only looks out for himself.
Yeah, I thought Joker was a terrific film. But there's been a bit of a discourse. I mean, then again, it's Oscar season. There's always going to be a discourse of something.
Honestly, I don't know why people walked out on that. I mean, it was dark, but it wasn't that dark.
Oh yeah, there was like hype like surrounding it, like at the Venice Film Festival. Like people were kind of shocked by it, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm intrigued. I'm kind of hoping it goes full on fucking bonkers at some point. But I'm in to see it, and I got to be honest, I liked what I loved it. I love Joker.
Oh yeah.
But my issue with some of the discourse of it being very violent was that, guys, I'm pretty sure like, you know, Taxi Driver had the same reception when that came out in Cannes years ago.
I thought we were gonna get it when the two circus dudes came into his apartment. I thought he was gonna like take a razor and stick in some dude's throat.
Oh no, he like fools on kills one of them, and then with like I think Gary, the dwarf character, he just sort of goes, "Hey, you always treat me nice." Kisses my head, just lets him out, and it's like, man, this guy might be sick.
I was happy he left him alone, because that guy was genuinely the only nice person in that entire film.
Yeah, and then you have Arthur like, "Hey, you're all right, go get out of here."
Actually, that brings me to a point. One of the most interesting things about the film is kind of its subversion of DC, right?
Yeah, like I was going to bring it up because I think what they're doing currently, and it could probably lead to the Oscar stuff, but like what they're doing currently is quite well done. Just because I've always had this problem with DC. Not always. They've made great films in the past. They've participated in making great films in the past.
Yeah.
They've given Warner Brothers amazing free reign to do what they wanted in the past. And like the results were, and no matter what the results were, even if it was like mixed, like the Watchmen film, or even if it just like, or even mixed like The Dark Knight Rises, or even like to amazing degrees like The Dark Knight, they always like delivered. You know, for a while. I think it wasn't until they announced they're making their own universe where I think things kind of went not wrong. Like it got off to a decent start with Man of Steel, and then it just kind of went off the rails with like Batman versus Superman because they were clearly like trying to get all their eggs into one basket. Like no matter how hard Zack Snyder tried to make a good film, it just everything was kind of working against. Maybe not everything, but there were just stuff that was working against him.
I'll say what I said at the time. Ben Affleck did the best with the character he was given.
Yeah,
the problem is, the character he was given was not Batman.
I mean, for me, now the hype is like died down. It's just one of those like things where just I look back on it, I don't hate it like most people do. I don't think it's I think it's kind of like, in my mind at least, a waste of my breath to get mad about it. I don't say breath in general, because if you hate the film, that's completely fine. If you love the film, that's completely fine. For me personally, I just think it's a bit of a waste of my breath to sort of like get mad about BVS being the way it is. Of course it was going to be the way it is. Like, they announced, like, a Man of Steel sequel and then just sort of went, fuck it, we're making it Batman versus Superman. Okay, I mean, that's cool, but how are you going to, like, reintroduce Batman into this? And you see the results, and I respect the effort. That's the thing. I respect the effort that everybody went into to make sure it was a good film. The biggest problem that I had was just, it was a film that had so much going for it. And it just fell flat. And honestly, like I say, I love the effort, but it's a case of, like, it's Icarus in film form, basically. It flew too close to the sun, and a lot going on. It just sort of, like, fell on its ass.
That was my original worry with Code 8, is that I'd spent about 3 years waiting for the film. I'd invested like a small amount of money. I bought a T-shirt, basically. That's what I contributed to the campaign, so that I could get a digital package along with it and a T-shirt. I got it sitting in my house, and I was worried that after all that time waiting, that even though it did get a pretty modest budget for this project, that it wouldn't really turn into anything that was special. And whilst it wasn't like groundbreaking stuff, it was better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, like that's kind of So that's kind of what I thought of, like what the DC have been doing right now. Like, I think ever since these kind of like stopped doing that whole universe thing and just focused on what they were doing with their own films.
Yeah, well now after the release of Joker, they say they're doing like a DC Black imprint where they're going to start doing like darker stories for other characters.
Cool, that's
which.
Fine.
I don't know how I feel.
Yeah.
That seems like they're trying to franchise it.
I mean, it's making them a lot of money. I'm not going to be too mad about that. It's a business thing. What are you going to do?
I mean, DC needs a win. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to be. They're kind of winning at the moment. I don't want to say they're winning.
Joker is probably the win.
Yeah, I don't want to like go for the whole winning thing because at this point now, who gives a shit about like the whole war conflict of like DC versus Marvel?
There's more game in town now. You've got like
who cares at this point? They're doing their own thing now. Just let them be.
You got Image Comics hot off the heels. You got Boom Studios. There's more competition in the comic book market now.
Yeah, comic book market. Like let the comic book market worry about that.
And honestly, there's nothing really special going on at Marvel Comics right now.
I mean, in terms of like war stuff, let the comics worry about that. In terms of the films, let Marvel and DC. Let them be. Let them do their own thing. They're clearly like doing the best they can.
They're going to be around forever.
Yeah, they're still doing the things. Let them do the things. So back to the Oscar nominations with Joker. I'm happy that Joker got nominated for Oscars just because
I fully understand it.
Yeah, I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy. But I think 11 is overkill. 11 nominations for me is just complete overkill. Not because I think the movie is bad or like, just I think there are better films that would have like benefited from certain nominations, and I think giving Joker like 11 nominations is a bit overkill in my mind.
I think it's probably just I think it's a lot more than what people were originally expecting.
Yeah, I mean,
I think they were expecting it to be, like, even though they said it was going to be a standalone film, the guys did look into some Joker material. Like, a lot of it was inspired by The Killing Joke.
Yeah, like, if I was going to nominate the film for, like, certain Oscars, I would nominate it for, like, Best Adapted Screenplay, just because, well, they did a pretty decent screenplay, I guess. Best Actor, of course. I'm pretty sure Joaquin Phoenix is going to walk away with the damn thing.
The guy routinely does it. He throws himself into his art, man.
And then you have, and Score, which I think is going to win, because the score was fucking incredible. I love that score. Like, genuinely, the score for Joker, it was, I think at first I was like, this doesn't feel right. It just doesn't, it feels like I'm watching the wrong film. It wasn't until, like, I think the bathroom dance, where I was like, right, I get it now. The music is kind of amazing. Anywho, and then probably I would nominate for Best Cinematography, because why not?
Did you notice this, by the way?
Notice what?
In the movie Joker, there's the stairs. When we first see those stairs, he's walking up them, and the lights are off, right?
Yeah.
And then I think that's like supposed to like symbolize first him climbing up the stairs. That's originally supposed to give you the idea that he's like trying to get to a better place of mental health, but with the lights off, it kind of seems like he's ascending into darkness. And then the next scene you see, he's still climbing those stairs, except the lights are on. And that kind of symbolizes that it's looking brighter for him. And then you finally get the penultimate scene where he's dancing down them.
It's a descent into madness.
Exactly. That's the descent into madness. And the sun is fully shining in the background, sort of symbolizing that he was rising into sort of darkness, but now it's fully sunny. And he's now descending.
Yeah, I thought about that like after I saw it for the first time, or after I saw it the second time.
I started noticing the stairs all the way through, and
Yeah,
I knew about the scene at the end because it was advertised all over the place.
Yeah. I pretty much like thought about that like after I saw it the second time around. It was one of those things I remember going up to Cam about, my brother about that, and just being like, "Oh my god, this symbolism is fucking amazing!" And he was just sort of like, "Yeah, no shit." And I'm like, I'm sort of like, "But oh my god, it's the so you know, So yeah, even cinematography, nominated for cinematography, and fuck it, production design. I think 6 or 5 nominations would have done the film. Like I say, I'm not coming from a place of me being like, oh, it was whatever. I think the film's terrific. It's a great movie. I just think 11 is overkill, and I think
Possibly.
Yeah, that and also best director. I'm sorry, Todd Phillips he did a good job. I just think he was pretty much borrowing a lot from Scorsese, and you could definitely tell that's the case. I mean,
It's definitely Taxi Driver inspired.
yeah, when I look at the best director nominations, I think there's a lot of them that are very justified and pretty okay. I think, and you could have like maybe added like Greta Gerwig in there, and maybe Lulu Wang, who directed The Farewell, and even Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi is everywhere now.
Just
right
put
now.
him, just give them the best director nominations, and you know. I just find it very strange that Todd Phillips is getting a nomination for Best Director just because he did a good job. I don't want to say he's like a bad director or anything. He did a good job.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck if he directed the Hangover movies, and I'm getting mad because he's nominated, and it's like, oh, he directed the Hangover movies. That makes no sense. And it's like, I don't care. I'm fine. I'm happy. I'm happy for his success. I'm fine. Just don't. I don't think the guy deserved a nomination just because, in terms of the directing style, I thought there were better directors who had better style out there. And if I was gonna like swap him over for either Lulu Wang or Greta Gerwig or even Taika Waititi, I would just Todd Phillips is the weakest of the bunch. And I find that very strange. You have other nominations for Joker that I find very weird. Like, I got nominated for makeup. I'm sort of like, okay.
I can kind of see that.
I mean,
makeup was pretty good.
I mean, me too. And I think there's even like little details in the makeup that are quite cool. But I think just, you know, I'm pretty sure the makeup is only going to be going to the makeup for Joker's character and no one else.
The one thing that interests me the most about the film, again, I said this earlier, a subversion of like DC in general. The ending of the film, you've seen the part where like the whole world has basically descended into madness at this point. Everyone's dressed up as clowns, and he's given out this message that everyone should enact this revenge on the rich and the people who have discriminated against them, and that leads to the death of Bruce Wayne's parents. Yeah, that will ultimately become the reason that he becomes Batman in this storyline, which is that's a subversion, because in the common DC storylines, the lore behind all of that, it's Batman that makes the Joker. Like the common story is it comes straight from the Killing Joke, that he was dressed up as the Red Hood, the guy who becomes Joker. We've never been given a name. But the guy that becomes Joker, he breaks into the Ace Chemicals factory. Batman apprehends him, but accidentally causes him to be knocked into a vat of chemicals, which changes his chemistry. And then after witnessing a reflection of his twisted, deformed body in like a puddle, that makes him descend into madness. But in this case, he's already suffered through that, and it's instead the Joker making the Batman instead of the Batman making the Joker. Because quite often that's been why Batman was often seen as a controversial subject, which has also been explored in the Batman Arkham games, is that his presence is what creates the criminals around him. And that makes sense, because before that, it was a whole bunch of crime lords that were ruling over Gotham, but it was only after Batman turned up that all of these supervillains turned up. But now it's the reverse of that. Yeah. That the villain creates the hero.
Yeah,
I thought it was really interesting.
It's fascinating, and I think, like I say, is like I love the fact that the film became that successful. I think it's really good that the film has become successful, just because it sort of shows that not only DC could still participate in great films. In fact, I think we already knew that when Wonder Woman came out. I'm pretty sure most people are like, "Oh, they can make good films."
Well, I finally saw that.
Yeah, they can. Yeah, they could at least they could still make good films. I just think of Joker. They kind of just sort of I wouldn't say reinvented. I think that's a bit of a word that's been thrown around a lot. I think they've definitely done something special for the superhero genre, though. Well,
I legit thought that for a moment there, Arthur could have been Thomas'
related.
son. I thought that would have been really interesting.
Yeah, so I think in term like what Black Panther did, for what it was trying to do, Joker kind of came in and just sort of like, I think, and just sort of like not reinvented the superhero genre. It just kind of was like, hey, we have a new coat of paint. So I think the fact that like it's being nominated is really good. It's good. It's great. And hell, even nominated for Best Picture, I don't mind. I just think it's overkill with some of the other nominations it's received.
Well, tell us about the other nominations.
And what, for Joker?
Well, no, for like the Oscars in general.
Oh, the Oscars in general. Yeah. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood's been nominated for like 10.
Of course.
One of them being Best Picture.
I'm gonna be honest. You know my feelings on this. I didn't think it was that great.
Yeah, I got a message from you, like, if you don't mind me telling the story, just because I think it's personally kind of hilarious and very confusing.
I came out of that.
Yeah, not confusing. Just the way you worded it was just kind of hilarious. Mind if I tell the story?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Okay, while you collect your thoughts, like, 10 nominations. Oh my word.
Okay.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I went to see it at the film house when it came out, and I loved it. I loved the movie. I think it's incredible. It's one of Tarantino's best films. Probably not his like best. I think Pulp Fiction or The Hateful Eight is like his best work. So I've seen it like twice by this point, and you like I think got home from watching it. And you send me this message where it's like, "Hey, so I just saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood," and I'm like, "Oh my god!"
I went with two of my friends to Fountain Park, and we were a little bit late because we were running a little bit late. But the second that we entered, the adverts had just finished, so we managed to sit down, and then the movie started playing. It was perfectly timed.
Oh, that's amazing! So you came in like looking at the watch, like, "Oh, we did it! We saw the film. We got in just in time."
No, it was more like, "Sit down. Here we go."
Sit down, here we go. So yeah, I loved it, and I think I was like, "Oh man, that's great. What do you think?" And I think you're like, "I have a question for you though," and I'm like, "Sure. What's the question?" You asked like, "Is it dumb?" Just the one word sentence, and I'm like,
"Yep."
What do you mean? It's like, is it dumb? Like, what does it all mean?
Yeah, and then I send you like a slew of questions, just one after another, because I was talking about this with my friends in the car all the way back home.
Yeah, like when you mentioned it was like I remember we were talking about it afterwards. I was like, when you say it's dumb, I don't know what you mean by it, because it's kind of fairly easy to understand what's going on. It's not like I'm trying to be careful of what director I can mention, like in terms of like dumbness and whatnot. It'd be like someone watching a David Lynch film for the first time and going, "Oh, that wall was very, very dumb. What does it all mean?" So with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I kind of more thought I was thinking it was one of those like things where it's like, yeah, it's actually a lot more. There's a lot more going on with that one, rather than just sort of going, it's whatever. I don't think it's that particularly dumb in my mind. I think it was more that there's a lot of stuff in there that was kind of easy to understand. And then you kind of like mentioned it felt more like a Seinfeld episode. To you.
Yeah, I found the message just here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was on the 20th of August. That was my birthday.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was it. I went. I was talking to my friends. I said, "Hey, I'm turning 22. Let's go see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood."
Yeah, and then after that, you're like, "Was that dumb? Did I just see the dumbest movie I've ever?"
I didn't see the dumbest movie. I just thought it was a bit dumb.
And then, like you mentioned that you weren't saying it was like Seinfeld, and I sort of was like, right, okay, here's all my defenses for this and that. I just thought it was kind of interesting. So go on. What do you think about the movie and it be nominated for like 10 Oscars?
What, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Yeah.
I think it's typical Tarantino. People love Tarantino, man. Like, they suck Tarantino's.
Hey, that's a very mean thing to say about.
Okay,
that.
But they do, right? Okay. People love Tarantino, and I get why. He's got a very specific style of filming. The nonlinear storytelling does work, and the way he's pretty much mastered it at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And the beginning of the film, it's pretty original. Like, I don't think he's done anything quite in that time period, and it's clear what he's going for. He wants to make like a film that kind of celebrates that era of film. But then the story itself, there's not a lot of character development. Like, everyone stays the same by the end. They're exactly who they were when the film started. Leo is still this arrogant asshole who wants to get back in after he thinks he's been a has-been, and at the end of the movie, it seems like he's gonna get that chance, but he's still an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Brad Pitt, who is basically around as the muscle, and we never even find out whether or not he actually did kill his wife.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the point, though. It's like a mystery, like for that like arc. It's kind of like up to us to sort of like figure if he did it or not.
Okay, but it feels more like a loose end, right? Because you don't really have anything to go on. You just told it might have happened or it might not have happened. There's not really much of a mystery to go on.
Yeah, there's actually kind of a bit of a context behind why like that's kind of left as a mystery. Like, you ever heard of like an actress called Natalie Wood?
No.
Right, that Natalie Wood was like an actress that was like huge back in the day, and there was an incident where she disappeared, or I think they found her like dead in the someplace. Like, she was on a boat, and I think they say that she fell off that boat, and like she was found like dead later on. I don't know if she washed up or they found her in the sea or something. I don't know like that much detail, but it became like this huge crazy mystery where there was like two Hollywood actors were possibly involved in her like murder potentially, and that was Robert Wagner and Christopher Walken. So those two were like involved in the potential like murder of sorts or disappearance or what have you of Natalie Wood. So Cliff Booth, the character that Brad Pitt plays, killing his wife is kind of like that sort of like a throwback to that sort of thing. And I love the fact that like it's kind of left as a mystery, and it's kind of like the briefcase in Pulp Fiction in that regard, where it's like, oh man, I got that. It's kind of interesting. I feel there's gonna be a lot of theories as to why that's the case. You know.
Okay.
But I understand why people are kind of like, what? So I can understand why that's the case with some people, where like you kind of want to like know more about that, which is fine, you know.
I think the thing that annoyed me the most about it was just Sharon Tate. I don't mind Margot Robbie. Yeah, she's a great actress. I appreciate her work. Loved her in The Wolf of Wall Street. But her art doesn't really go anywhere.
Yeah, a lot of people have a problem with like Sharon Tate. I don't really mind her arc in the movie, just because I thought, for me anyway, as somebody who knows a lot about the film industry and all that sort of stuff, and kind of got the context of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I don't like mentioning that sort of stuff just because it makes you feel like a pretentious asshole who's like, cease your talking, allow me to mansplain the meaning of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I don't know, I don't like, it makes me just feel, it just makes you feel like that sort of type.
It's a thing that's, it goes along with a lot of things that are happening in the film industry of recent years, is that it's trying to rewrite history.
Yeah, I honestly don't mind that.
Before this came out, we heard like small rumors that Tarantino was doing something like a Charles Manson biopic.
Oh.
And when we saw the actor who was playing Charles Manson on screen, I thought that we were going to see a bit more of that. He turns up for 5 seconds, and we're never seeing again.
I don't mind that, just because when you look at like Tarantino's like, he clearly has a disdain for the Manson family. Like by the end of the film,
it's no surprise. Charles Manson is one of the most terrifying people. No longer alive. He passed away.
Like the incident itself is like awful. It's a terrible tragedy. What happened? Like in the actual incident.
Yeah, it is, and I thought we'd touch on that a bit in the story, but it never happens.
Yeah.
Except for the part at the end where the guys come in, but then they just get the shit kicked out of them by Brad Pitt.
Yeah, I don't, like I say, is I think the context behind that is like, it's definitely a Tarantino like thing to sort of like know, if that makes sense.
Oh, that's how my friend described it to me before we went to see it. He said it starts off pretty original, but then it's the most Tarantino ending possible.
Yeah, I think with the case of Sharon Tate and the Mansons being included, I love the fact that Sharon Tate was included, not because she was definitely a character, guys. I mean, let's be honest, she doesn't really have much of a character in the film. It's just she's there, and I think this is because Tarantino there's already kind of a preconceived notion that you should probably know who she is going into it, not as a person, but just has a whatever. But I remember watching the film, and I found her like storyline to be very emotional, because for one, I know it sounds really dumb, but hear me out. For me, I kind of got emotional during the scene where she's watching herself on screen, and I got emotional because you kind of think back to like the tragedy that occurred with Sharon Tate, you know, and you kind of and the way she went out was just fucking awful. Like, just
You want to know what I was thinking?
Yeah.
Why are we seeing so much feet?
Well, despite don't focus on the feet.
How can we not? There is more feet footage in this one movie than the rest of Tarantino's films.
Oh.
And sure, if that's his thing, okay, you can have that, but don't inflict that on the rest of us.
Okay. Anyway,
it's fucking weird.
Anyway, where was I? Going back to my emotional thing. So fucking went from. So here's the emotional scene. Here's the feet. There's feet. I'm sorry. You could edit this part out.
Oh no, this is the best part so far.
Although I mean me going like, oh, the feet. Anyway, her part in the story I thought it was kind of like well done, just because. And you just see her like as a person just going for her day to day, and it got emotional after a while, because you thought, man, you kind of just forget that at the end of the day, Sharon Tate, even though Tarantino doesn't know her, and I don't know her as a person, and you don't know her as a person, I felt like I was just watching a person live out their life, and not a symbol of a terrible tragedy, you know? And I kind of found it to be very well done, and it just caught me, I mean, it moved me, it really did, and I don't really know how to explain it except like, it felt like I was watching Sharon Tate, the person, again. And then Sharon Tate, the victim of the Manson murders. And then by the end of it just became like Inglourious Basterds 2.0.
See, Inglourious Basterds is the one film that I don't have a problem with rewriting history.
Yeah, because, well, Hitler, basically.
Yeah, there's no downside to hating Nazis.
Yeah, but if it came to the Manson one, that's a bit more complicated. Just because, obviously, the people who did the murders were manipulated by this horrible, horrible man. That was Charles Manson. And I think, and by looking at Tarantino, I think he more went for the simplistic aspect of it, which I think I don't want to come off like I'm defending like him saying he's correct in killing these guys off. I think the way he did it, in terms of like how he perceived the event and the way he filmed the whole thing, it was kind of more like he was rewriting that aspect of history when it comes to the Manson families, because that was kind of the turning point of like Hollywood, where after like this 1969, that was it. It definitely changed like the foundation of Hollywood for a while. And I find like what he was doing with the Manson stuff to be somewhat fascinating, and also kind of like, well, deliriously entertaining, because fucking hell, it was kind of a rush to watch. And I find it like, I think in defending his viewpoint of it is that I think it's because I think it's because it's a fairy tale version of like his childhood. Basically, he grew up around like Hollywood around that time, and I think to have an ending where it was kind of like a bolt of energy, and it's also like a sort of like trying to sort of like rewrite history and sort of like go back to Hollywood in that sort of like golden era. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm running out of like words to say. Help me, Neil. Help.
Well, this is something that I'm having a problem with, is that films seem to be abusing their artistic license a lot. And this is the case with this. I don't know why Tarantino, because he made up characters for Brad Pitt and Leo DiCaprio. And can I just say, the part where Leo is playing the part in that TV series, and you see that part with the little girl, and he pushes her on the floor, and then you've got that whole scene in the saloon. That is possibly some of the best acting of Leo's career. I loved that part of it.
Yeah, like DiCaprio's like.
I completely believed that he was this new like evil cowboy dude.
Like it kind of like reinstates that Rick Dalton is a good actor. He just kind of like has fallen off. He just sort of like his.
Yeah, when that little girl says to him that is some of the best acting I've ever seen, I agree.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh, look at Dalton. The Dalton gets emotional. He's all like, thank you, and he's about to like have another like burst of. He's about to like have another little emotional moment. It's like, damn, fucking Dalton, man.
But that was also a criticism that my friend had for the film, is that what was going on in that TV series that they were filming was more interesting than the film itself. They thought that was a lot more appealing.
I think when you're like, I think the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is really going to appeal only to like one particular group of people. Not that I want to sound like I'm coming off as like saying this is not made for you, because I don't like because gatekeeping is bullshit, and I fucking don't want to be a gatekeeper when it comes to movies. Watch what you watch. Watch what you want. When it comes to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I think it's clearly a film that a lot of like cinephiles are really going to enjoy. And I love it because not only because it's like one of Tarantino's best films, but the screenplay is really good, the acting is very, very good, and there's a lot of like really good moments in the film that I think are incredible, like the scene where Cliff goes down to the Manson like ranch. Like it became a horror film for a moment, and I thought that the way that it was directed and shot was just very well done.
Yeah, that whole time I thought he was gonna get like shot by someone.
Yeah, or something was going to happen where he like threw Manson out the window or something. And
there were some alright points of that movie. It's just on the whole, it seems kind of dumb. Like it doesn't really have anywhere to go. And this whole thing, again, I'll bring it back up. The rewriting of history doesn't seem like a valid thing to do, especially when you're dealing with real world characters. That's why when I say that they made up characters for Leo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt, why didn't they just do that for the entire film? Make up an entire parody of that time. That would have made the film valid. Instead, you take characters that are based on people that actually exist and essentially rewriting that history. It doesn't feel like you have the right to do that, especially when you do it with characters like Sharon Tate and Bruce Lee. Because the way that they did Bruce Lee, I respect that the actor himself was conflicted about doing it, and that he would have that whole compromise about portraying that kind of character. But still, the way that it's executed and Tarantino's thoughts on the whole thing isn't really justified, I don't feel.
Yeah, I mean, I think before that, I wasn't like huge on Bruce Lee. I didn't particularly like. I knew who he is. I know who he is.
I know who he is, and whilst I respect that he is supposedly one of the best martial artists of the last couple of years, Enter the Dragon is a lot of crap.
Yeah, I don't know who Bruce Lee. I haven't seen a whole lot of stuff with Bruce Lee in it, and I'm aware who he is, but I'm not one of those.
I saw Enter the Dragon on Netflix, and aside from the beginning and then this one scene at the end, the rest of it is a James Bond ripoff.
Yeah, I haven't seen Enter the Dragon just yet. I still need to check that one out.
But I respect the guy as an actor. He
seems like a cool dude, and I think what happened to him is definitely tragic and whatnot.
Yeah.
Just I think for me, I'm not one of those like guys who's like Bruce Lee is the greatest, and it's like it's not really been on my radar.
Here's the thing: Tarantino said that he read a biography written, I think, by Bruce Lee's wife, saying that at one point he actually said that he could beat Muhammad Ali in a fight. He said he actually said that. Except I haven't really seen that anywhere else. And what I have seen is that apparently at one point in an interview, Bruce Lee actually talked about how everyone was saying that him and Muhammad Ali had to fight. And he said, "Look at this little Asian fist. He would crush me."
Yeah, like I think, if it came to like that scene, I didn't particularly like. It's not that I don't want to say, "Oh, I don't care," because that's a terrible argument to have against that argument, like yours, or your. But for me, like it was one of those like things where like I don't know much about Bruce Lee, and I didn't really, and I kind of was more watching someone's interpretation of Bruce Lee, and I didn't particularly mind it just because it was still very well written, it was still entertaining, and Mike Mo's. Ma's performance as Lee was terrific. Just the way he delivered his lines and all that sort of stuff was just fantastic.
I don't mind his acting. I just didn't like the character itself. I didn't feel like it was appropriate.
Yeah, for me it's just because I don't have an emotional value over Bruce Lee, so I'm a bit more lenient about what they do with like Bruce Lee.
I don't know. Like I think if they had taken, because you can make parodies of characters, you can take them and then if you had taken Bruce Lee's character, just put a different name on him and made him a little bit different, that would have worked.
Maybe, yeah. But this is Quentin Tarantino we're dealing with.
Yeah.
We can make up these characters, but you leave Sharon Tate and Bruce Lee alone. We got to put them in the film. Why? Why, Quentin? Because we could, And
then he gets all these Oscar nods because he's Tarantino.
I mean, in defense of it, I think it's a love letter to basically like the classic Hollywood, and I can understand why people don't like it for several reasons. I completely understand that. The last thing I want to do is tell them, no, you're wrong, because art is subjective. And I'm a firm believer in that quality, So
I believe that too.
Yeah, so I think it's probably gonna. I think it's definitely the nominations are definitely deserved for that one. The Irishman is also up for like 10 nominations.
I still haven't seen that.
Oh, dude, you gotta watch it. I went to the cinema to see it.
It's on Netflix. I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's long though. It's 3.5 like hours long.
If I can watch Schindler's List, I can watch this.
That's the mindset I like to enjoy.
hours, and yet it's worth it just to see Liam Neeson cry at the end.
Yeah, Schindler's List is an amazing film. I love Schindler's List. Speaking of which, Jojo Rabbit also got nominated as well.
Yeah, talk about that. That's just been released. Again, Taika Waititi. He's everywhere.
I love Taika Waititi. He's an amazing filmmaker. And Jojo Rabbit, I don't know if you've seen Jojo Rabbit just yet.
No. I'm broke at the moment.
Yeah. Oh, it's for me, it's one of the best films that we've had so far. We live here in Scotland, home of like haggis and the best weather, I think. And we didn't get Jojo Rabbit until like January 1st, so it's technically like a 2020 film by UK releasing standards. Which is weird because whatever, that's a whole other episode, I guess.
I've heard good things from people in America.
Yeah, I love Jojo Rabbit. It's one of my favorite films of 2020. It's one of those movies that I think deserves its nominations. I think a director nod would have been great though. But the weird discourse of Jojo is that people who are mixing it is because like it portrays that part of history in a very comical light. Even though there's a huge artistic value to that point, it's like with you and the Tarantino stuff. Where you're saying, why do you bring these real world people in here? You could just have like fake equivalents to like,
Yeah.
For that. With Jojo, it's that where it's based in a real life scenario of the final days of World War II, the Hitler youth camps and like Germany like kind of getting their asses kicked at the moment, and you have all these like fake characters like in this like realistic like sort of universe. Obviously under the comical guise of like the comical like eyes of Taika Waititi directing the whole thing.
Yeah.
And there's a weird discourse where people are kind of just like, hey, this movie, it's making fun of the Holocaust and that sort of stuff. It's terrible, blah, blah, blah. And what I'm kind of annoyed about with this discourse is this. It's not set in the Holocaust. It's set in the end times of World War II. It's like set in 1945.
Have you guys seen Inglourious Bastards?
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. I mean, I can understand why they'd be a bit miffed about this sort of movie. But here's the thing: it's not set in the Holocaust. Schindler's List was a movie that's set in the Holocaust. Like the movie's plot is basically like revolves around the Holocaust.
Yeah.
Even The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, that movie literally was set near a death camp. Yep. Jojo Rabbit wasn't set near a death camp in the film's story. And what I find strange is that there's a lot of people who are like, oh, it's about the Holocaust. It's not about the Holocaust. It's about the plot has nothing to do with the Holocaust. While unfortunately, we do have to associate World War II and the Holocaust together because they both happened around the same time, and it's a very tragic situation. I find that with Jojo, it's not really set. It's not really set at it. It's not even like mentioned. They don't even like mention the Holocaust. They more or less just mention that like Nazis don't like the Jews for these really stupid reasons.
Flash there.
Yeah, stupid reasons. They explore that in Jojo Rabbit. Like they kind of make like the reasons why Hitler and Nazis don't like Jewish people as juvenile and childish, and it makes complete sense. And it's hilarious, like the way they like portray the Nazis as these big giant like children. Like literally the way the adult Nazis in the film talk about Jewish people is akin to fucking school kids talking about dumb rumors.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous. There's literally a scene where, like, Stephen Merchant, who plays the Gestapo, like, talks to, like, the main character, Jojo, and goes, you may have heard Hitler has one ball. This is nonsense. He has 4. Like, literally, they go to that level of humor with these, like, adults, and it's like, that's amazing. Like, that's not making them look good. That's making them look fucking stupid.
What, is Hitler a Krogan?
Like, the way people are getting mad over Jojo is, like, for me, kind of strange. Again, I completely understand if it comes to a moral standpoint of, like, yeah, it makes me kind of uncomfortable. And it's like, that's fine, that's completely understandable. But when you sort of, like, call it a bad film because it makes fun of the Holocaust and miss the point of what the film is going for, that's kind of where I have to draw the line and try to defend the film. That's not what the film is about. The film is examining hate. It's examining a boy who has become a fanatic and is slowly learning that is not the right way of life. He's slowly learning that what the Nazis were fighting for was fucking stupid, and what the Nazis believe in were pretty stupid, and what. It's just basically about a boy who's kind of like learning that this is not the right way to be a person, and I think what Jojo Rabbit was doing is very beautiful, and I'm glad that like there are a lot of people out there who are absolutely adoring it, and like I said, I love it. Like I've seen it like 4 times now. It's great, and I think the discourse for the Jojo Rabbit is just kind of strange, just because, well, I don't know. Like, again, if people feel uncomfortable by it, that's fine. But when you start calling the film like bad because because of the way like it quote unquote makes fun of the Holocaust, where it doesn't really make fun of the Holocaust, it's making fun again of the Nazis in the story and the Nazis in general, and you're uncomfortable by the fact that like there's a 10-year-old boy who like idolizes Hitler and like, you know, sees him as an imaginary friend. That also is kind of the point of Jojo Rabbit, where he has this Hitler guy as his friend because that's how he imagines to be, because that's how Nazi Germany marketed Hitler to be, this big goofy friendly guy. And then when you actually, and then like there's this really, really cool moment in the Jojo Rabbit film where like slowly but surely the imaginary version of Hitler goes from this, hey Jojo, it's me, big wacky goofy Hitler, to suddenly becoming the actual proper Hitler, where where he has like the weird mannerisms and the sort of like and the sort of speech making, and he becomes a lot more intimidating in the film like later on, or going into like too much spoilers, and it's very well done. And I find the discourse on sort of like making either Nazis look good or whatnot is kind of ridiculous, because that's not the point of Jojo Rabbit. The point, again, I've already stated the point. I don't want to repeat myself here. But yeah, I love Jojo Rabbit. I recommend you should go check it out. It's fantastic.
Probably will at some point.
Yeah. Also nominated. I think Parasite got like 6 nominations.
Parasite, I've heard about.
Oh, dude, it's been like talked about all over the place. I've actually booked a Q&A screening to see it at some point. What's it about? Well, Parasite.
Yeah.
It's a movie set in South Korea about 2 families. One is a very poor family. The son, from what I've heard, again, haven't seen it. I'm sort of like going by the basic like premise of the trailer and also just the premise in general.
Yeah.
He begins to work for this like rich family and like to a point where like he decides to get his other family members involved to work for this family.
Okay.
And things go well, and according to the premise, something occurs where just the film apparently becomes a different beast altogether by the end.
This is sounding like Get Out.
Oh no. Get It was more a commentary on like, you know, being black in America, I guess. While Parasite is about these 2 families, one being a lower class poor family, the one being an upper class like rich family. And it's about like these characters like infiltrating like the rich family. It's basically an allegory for Eat the Rich, basically.
Okay.
You look perplexed.
Yes, that seems like a strange thing to say. I mean, I'm pretty sure that happened at one point in history.
Yeah, like
people actually, there was a duke that they killed and then ate him.
Yeah, okay. But that's the premise of Parasite. Not that they literally eat the rich. It's a eat the rich is a phrase, dude. It's
it's a strange phrase.
Welcome to Sean Explains Metaphors and Phrases to Neil Thompson.
How about cannibalism?
So
I mean, I don't know what side of the tracks you come from, but over here we don't find that particularly
again
welcoming.
It's a worldwide metaphor, dude. That's not a South Korean metaphor. It's just a general metaphor.
Sure, let me just plug any given saying, like jump the window,
jump the gun. Like generally, eat the rich is a genuine like metaphor, dude.
Anyway. How about we just shoot the shit for someday? Like take an actual gun and shoot a pile of shit.
Yeah. Okay. I think
okay. Yeah, it's running its course now.
I think in your case, I think it was wrong to tell you that basically that Parasite is basically an Eat the Rich film, and you're just like, what the what kind of goofy shit has that guy been making?
It's a weird thing to say, and I don't see like the allegory. Okay.
But yeah, the premise of Parasite is just that take away the Eat the Rich metaphor. It's just it's a family infiltrating a rich family, and it's apparently very fucking good. Like it's been like praised about since Cannes. It's
okay.
Yeah, I booked a Q&A screen to go see it with Emily, who's one of our Narcoleptic care members.
Yeah, she couldn't be here today, unfortunately, but hopefully she'll be here next time.
Yeah.
We're thinking of like a bi-weekly thing.
Hopefully,
so every 2 weeks or so, we'll record this a bit earlier and then publish it on the Monday.
Yeah, so by the time this happens, we may have saw Parasite.
Yeah.
I booked a Q&A screening as well, a satellite Q&A screening of the film's director, Bong Joon-ho.
Oh, yeah?
He directed Okja and Snowpiercer.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and it's, again, been praised since Cannes. I cannot wait to see it. And I'm pretty sure, like, Marriage Story also got nominated for some Oscars as well. For Best Picture, 1917 got nominated.
Yeah, I've heard good things.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what else got nominated. I'm pretty sure there was a couple other ones that you definitely may have not seen. But I think that's not about it. I need to probably take some look at some of these old notes. You can hear these paper. These are notes that I've had since college. You can edit this stuff out, Neil, my friend.
Oh, you mean you actually take notes?
Yeah, I take notes. I'm a good boy. I'm a good boy.
Well,
yeah. Okay, so edit this part out. I'm just going to be reading a little bit. Okay, other ones that got nominated for Best Picture are Little Women, which I love.
Yeah.
And it also got and also Ford v Ferrari, which is like the weakest nominee out of the bunch.
Yeah.
Like genuinely. I find that very strange that got nominated. Not because I thought it was a bad movie per se, just because. Okay, Ford v Ferrari doesn't particularly scream Best Picture toward me. Well, I guess with the Academy, it definitely screams Best Picture toward them. So they're like, oh, I know these people. I was there when that happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, Oscar nominations I'm happy with. I think there are a couple of controversial things that I think they should definitely address again. Like,
I'll talk about them when they actually happen.
like when they actually win and whatnot.
Yeah, we'll see who the winners are.
Yeah, I think the winners are probably going to be quite not controversial, but there's definitely going to be like a couple of things where like we're going to have a lot to say on like those matters.
Some are going to be pretty obvious. Others are going to be like, why?
Yeah, in terms of nominations though, like there were no female directors again this year, which fucking sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, you had a good Greta Gerwig right there.
I mean, a lot of those are kind of dictated by the For Your Consideration campaigns, which is a controversial subject itself. I don't like that idea.
Yeah, I've actually watched a really good video by Renegade Cup. He's a YouTuber who does a lot of like really good video essays.
All right.
He talked about the For Your Consideration stuff on one of his recent videos. I'll send you a link to it. It's very good, and I find it kind of insane the amount of work that goes into like the stuff. Like, I'm pretty sure the only reason Joker got 11 nominations was probably because, like, Warner Brothers and Todd Phillips put on their best social faces and they were just like, hey, vote for a movie. And legit probably went to these, like, people's houses and were just like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah, then you see those people walking around with, like, 6 Rolex watches on their wrists.
Yeah, and they're also like, probably very old as well. They're just sitting in their retirement homes going, what's going on? Who are you?
Oh.
Get out of my house!
Oh, is there a reason that so many flicks about white people in World War II get nominated? It's probably because people were actually there when it happened.
Yeah, like you probably get one who was like, I don't remember World War I that much, but 1917 reminded me a lot about World War II. But it's a World War I movie. Nah, mine's World War II.
Than anything Christopher Nolan does.
Well, that's because he's Christopher Nolan.
Have we heard anything else about Tenet?
Yeah, a trailer got released for it.
Yeah, we saw that.
Yeah, like
So what's going on?
it's an espionage thriller apparently.
Something to do with time travel.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Genuinely, people are like, it looks dumb and all that sort of stuff, but hey,
I mean, it's Christopher Nolan. I'll go see it.
yeah, listen, I fucking love Nolan. Even with Nolan at his worst, he can still pull off a good film.
What is Nolan at his worst?
Well, you could that depends. Like a lot of people think. I think Interstellar was like one of his was a film that got a huge mixed reception. But
That was great.
Yeah, I think Interstellar was fantastic. The only issue I have of Interstellar was just the ending.
I mean, it went on for a while.
Yeah, like I think if you cut out the final 20 minutes and just left it at like the light flashing on McConaughey and just ended it there.
One of the most ambitious scores.
Oh, dude, the score! My God, the score was beautiful. Oof.
Yeah.
But I think Nolan at his worst. It's quite hard to say because even when he makes a weak film, there's still a lot to praise about a Nolan film.
That's a funny thing that I recently saw. Like a lot of people have been like doing videos about what's happened over the last decade because we're in the 2020s now, which is still kind of weird to think about. But like they've been reviewing over what's happened over the last decade, and they did a video about what's been the best scores for films over the last and all the usual suspects were there. You got Interstellar, you have Mad Max Fury Road.
Fuck yeah,
apparently really good.
Apparently, dude, the score for Mad Max Fury Road was incredible. Like I remember like when I first saw the film, and I think I'm going to apply it to the score as well. Both the film and the score are so good, my testicles would probably explode listening to it.
I haven't seen it because I wanted to watch the other Mad Maxes first, but I've heard that it was done by Junkie XL, who is actually a protege of Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
And we know Hans Zimmer very well. Me and my sister are big fans of his work. Mm-hmm. But up there was actually the Daft Punk with Tron Legacy.
I mean, the film isn't great, but man, the score is memorable.
Yeah, that's something because quite often they use quite up-to-date equipment. They're always messing with the electronic stuff. But for that film, they actually went outside of their comfort zone and started looking into more orchestral music.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, there is some orchestral stuff in there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Like, I remember, like, seeing that with my grandmother, like, the Tron Legacy. And I remember the film being a very underwhelming experience. But the one thing that always stuck with me was the music. The music was amazing.
I mean, at the time, I think I appreciated it a bit more, but over the more I thought about it, it kind of detracted. But I still think it's an all right film. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad film. I mean, I didn't even see the original Tron.
Very early use of de-aging technology.
Yeah, I mean, I think I remember like watching. I don't remember watching the first Tron. I think that was because my grandmother saw it and thought, hey, the boys will like it. So I just thought it was meh, but the music was pretty brilliant.
There is one shot in that film that I really like. Do you remember the scene where Sam's going into the games and then those like women step out of the wall?
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I read up on this. The outfits that they are wearing, they look really beautiful. But the way that they're made makes it really hard for them to walk backwards.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So there's this scene just at the end of that, like the shot right at the end of that, where they all walk backwards towards like where they originally came out of the wall in perfect unison, and it's great to look at. But the thing is, because that was so difficult, what they did was that they shot it in reverse.
I was thinking that. I was tempted to jump in there and go, let me guess, they shot in reverse.
Yeah, but, so imagine like this square set. Sam's standing in the middle there. He's already fully dressed. And essentially how they shot it was they moved the camera inward towards Sam so that it would line up to when the girls would reach him in the center of the scene. And then they essentially reverse that footage. And it works so well because that footage has been reversed, the movement looks very robotic, like it's been planned.
Yeah. Like there's almost like a fluency when I think, but I'm thinking back to it, there's like a fluency with it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very well done.
I love fluid technology at work. Like if you can have like machinery almost imitate the ability of human movement, that is an achievement in itself. Because I'm quite fascinated with movement. Like I quite like. I've recently downloaded TikTok, and I started. I know this is a bit of a digression, but I recently downloaded it and I started looking up a lot of videos with people dancing because I really liked the way that it moves, and it also relates a lot to films because of fight choreography. I quite like fight choreography.
Yeah, I think we had a conversation this morning where you were talking about like that you wanted to do more camera stuff because you saw a piece of cinematography that was done in like the Fast and Furious films. And you're like, yeah, that's amazing.
I mean, Fast and Furious, it's a franchise that you basically know what you're getting because it knows exactly what it is and it follows that kind of genre. But the camera work that's been done from about Furious 7 onwards is really interesting to me because the fight scene almost follows the movement of the characters. Like there's this one shot right in Furious 7 when Deckard Shaw first meets Hobbs and they do that fight scene in the park. It's like Dwayne Johnson, he lifts Jason Statham up off the ground. The camera then does a 180 rotation from so that it's upside down as he's hitting the floor. And I love that movement. And they started using that a lot in fight scenes. On the whole, fight scenes from Furious 7 onwards increased because they had more of that like rhythmic fight choreography to them, which wasn't present in previous films. And that's something that you want from that because it's a film technique that's used a lot in Eastern cinema, that they have the hits come off in a rhythm so that your brain kind of already registers when they're going to hit. You don't need to process that information.
It's like music.
Yeah. It's like listening to music, except it's a fight. And that's really good. I really like that. And the fact that they incorporated a different way of using cinematography to capture the action is really interesting to me.
Yeah. I will say, if you're looking for some really good action films that have a lot of good choreography and whatnot, and I don't know why.
I gotta watch more John Woo films, man.
Yeah, oh no. If you're speaking of John Wick, the film series.
I've seen all three of those.
They're insane. The stunt work and the choreography in those films are insane.
I like the first two. I didn't like the third one.
I love the third one. Like honestly, I think the third one
Chapter 3 Parabellum was a kind of derivative to me.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't like it. I like the idea of it playing off like he's now being hunted by all the best assassins in the world, but it felt really linear to me. I
kind of loved it just because there was obviously that like sort of like panic of like just him there being this one man and everybody going after him, and just some of the stunt work was just fucking insane. Like the scene with the horse and the motorbikes, just how that breaks my brain just looking at it. And then it sort of like adds more to like Wick's universe, and I think it's kind of incredible that even 3 films in, they're still adding more to this world. And
I'm still excited to see Chapter 4. It's just Chapter 3 kind of felt like a step down to me compared to based on the strength of the first 2.
Yeah,
because the first 2 were really good.
Yeah, I think the 4th one, I'm hoping it doesn't go downhill from there, because I did kind of get worried with the way the 3rd one ended. I was just hoping that
we're seeing a lot of Keanu Reeves this year. We're getting both Chapter 4 and The Matrix 4. Although I am slightly detracted from that because I heard the news that Hugo Weaving isn't going to be in it.
Yeah, well, I don't particularly mind. I don't think we need Agent Smith back.
I don't know, man. He's kind of essential to the formula.
We're kind of done with Agent Smith, I guess.
Agent Smith was one of the most important characters, and some people who have analyzed the Matrix movies over time have actually argued that Neo wasn't the one. Agent Smith was.
Oh.
And I've seen the videos that, and it makes sense because it always said that the one would be born within the Matrix, and even though it's implied that Keanu Reeves' character Neo he's not. He wasn't born inside the Matrix. He was grown in the pod along with the rest of it. He's still technically human and being plugged into this machine. This is talking about someone who has actually been created inside the Matrix, a piece of code, and that is Agent Smith. And then it's only after Keanu Reeves, I keep saying Keanu Reeves, Neo joins with Agent Smith in that final scene. I mean, the 3rd movie isn't as good as the first 2, but
the first 2, none of the sequels are as good as the first one.
It's actually the 2 of them joining in that scene that causes the collapse of that level of the Matrix, which a lot of people are saying that's going to be the plot for Chapter 4, that the Matrix didn't actually collapse in the 3rd one. That was just one layer of it, and that there's actually deeper sides to it.
Mm-hmm.
So...
yeah,
time will tell.
Yeah, I'm more cautiously optimistic about the 4th Matrix, because the first Matrix is such a classic. It's one of those films that revolutionized action cinema, and obviously there was a lot of great ideas that were from the first Matrix that unfortunately got elevated, and then brought down in the second and third film.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't like the second and third film that much. Don't get me wrong, the second one's fun. The action scenes in the second one are genuinely quite brilliant.
Oh, that first fight scene with them and all the Agent Smiths is amazing.
And the car chase of the weird ghost twins and shit. I thought that was very well done. The only problem that I have with the second one is just the plot just went all over the goddamn place. And the third one, don't get me started on the third one. I don't like the third one. I actually kind of have a bit of a weird, not hatred, but a strong dislike for the third one.
It's been so long since I've seen them.
I remember watching them I think I recorded them on my dad's TiVo box, and I remember watching all three of them.
This was before TiVo, or any of the streaming services were really big. I basically went off of the back of my dad's DVD collection, and so I saw all the classics: Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, The Matrix. Mm-hmm. He wouldn't let me watch The Godfather.
I mean, I didn't get that privilege. I don't think my dad even owned the DVDs of The Matrix.
And all of the James Bonds, except for Roger Moore. For some reason, my mother hates Roger Moore.
I don't watch James Bond that much. Don't really my cup of tea.
You heard about a lot of people saying that they want a female character to play him?
Yeah, so I was actually having this conversation with a friend about this at one point in one of my college courses, and when the rumor came around, and they asked me, and I think they were asking me what my thoughts were on it. I told them my same answer, and an answer that might be a bit surprising. One, I don't give a fuck about James Bond as a franchise. It's not my cup of tea. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'll try watch all of them. They're just not on my radar as movies I need to see. I loved Skyfall. Skyfall was amazing.
Skyfall was great.
By itself, I could watch that just fine because by itself it's a good film. Spectre was garbage.
Yeah, we both saw that together. That was garbage.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had to subject you to that, Neil.
It's fine.
And Quantum of Solace and Casino Royale, I think, are okay. They're not particularly great. Anywho, when it comes to Bond being potentially a female, I honestly don't mind. This comes from a place of me not caring that much about the Bond franchise. I don't watch all of them. Sorry, let me repeat that. This comes from a place of someone who just doesn't care about James Bond, and to see them sort of considering the idea, I think is not bad. And if they actually say they get rid of Daniel Craig and they don't announce it for a year, 2 years maybe, I honestly wouldn't be against it. it would depend on. However, like Doctor Who, it would depend on the actor. That's like my viewpoint on that. It would depend on who they get to cast as this female James Bond, and if they actually went with the idea, I think it would be the most interesting decision they would have made for James Bond.
I don't know. I think I agree with the person who was speaking against it, that James Bond is a wholly like male-oriented character. If you want to make a female James Bond, then make a separate character and let that start off its own legacy, because that can be done. Plus, I don't think you really want a woman inheriting that kind of history, because James Bond was kind of a misogynist.
Yeah, that's kind of that. But then you mentioned that there is.
I personally love Sean Connery as the actor. I think he was the best one, and I love all of those original films. I mean, Doctor No wasn't as great, but Goldfinger, great.
Yeah, but there's
a bit dated, but still great.
Yeah, there's a bit of a history as well of the Bond films being very like yikes.
Yeah, there's that whole thing, and I don't think making it a female character is going to fix any of that.
For me, now you mentioned the whole like aspect of doing your own thing, it would be better if like you made your own spy films with a female lead. In fact, there was a movie that has a female spy in it that no one went to see. It's called Atomic Blonde, and it's fucking great.
It's not that I actually did want to go see it. It's just I haven't gotten around to it.
Like when that came out, everyone was just like, "Oh, it's confusing and blah, blah, blah. It's not that great a film." And it's like, guys, it's the best. Fucking, it's amazing. I don't know why so many people slept on it. Like, it was because the plot's confusing. I got something for you. I got a bit of a hot take for you regarding like spy films. All of them are kind of confusing. Even the Bond films, they're all kind of confusing. Even Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. That movie is fucking confusing, but it's a really, really good film, and it's very well acted and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Same with Atomic Blonde. Like, calm down. Just, sorry, I got really, it's one of those like things I remember getting kind of annoyed by, because I remember reading some of the reviews, and people were like, I like it, but, or I didn't like it because the plot was kind of confusing, and it's like, that's the way of the spy film, though. They're all kind of confusing.
Yep, it's kind of par for the course.
Like, jeez. Ugh. Anyway, so yeah, if you're like Atomic Blonde was great, and yet no one went to see it, and they were kind of like asking ourselves who would make a really good female Bond, and like I say, I think your answer is right there, Atomic Blonde. Yeah. That's what in my head canon. That's the only decent Bond film.
You're right there, man.
Sorry, I just realised that's gonna be a bit of a controversial hot take. Sean, what's the best Bond film? In my head canon, it's Atomic Blonde.
Oh man.
Okay, anyway, where was I? Yeah, if they were actually committed to the idea, sure, why not? Even the same with like they were mentioning possibly getting Idris Elba to play James Bond.
Yeah, see, it's totally fine with that. Like, you can keep him as a male character and bringing in a black character, that might help some things.
Yeah, when it comes to Bond, I feel more like one of those like teachers in a nursery, where like Bond is like one of those like very messy students of such a messy like history of a messy table. It's just the same thing. All of this like nonsense.
It's the same thing with everything. Just don't be preachy about it. Do it because you want to, not because you're trying to make a statement.
Yeah, but here's the thing with Bond. Like I said, I don't care. To restart the metaphor I'm going for here, think of it as me as being like one of those like nursery teachers and like, or school teachers, and you have like Bond of its messy art table. It's all over the place. There's a lot of like this side, these people as this character and this idea and that idea. It's basically a giant messy table, a hodgepodge, if you will. And I go past them my cup of coffee, and they just look at me and go, Mr. Scully and sir, what do you think if I did this with this? What do you think if I turned like this character into a woman? How would you feel about that? And because it's Bond, and I don't particularly have a emotional attachment to Bond, and I don't have an emotional attachment to this kid's like work, I'll just simply look at him and go, do what you want. Just, I'm fine with what you do as long as...
Sometimes choosing a gender can be really important to a story. Like, have you ever heard of Don't Nod Entertainment?
Sorry, what?
Don't Nod Entertainment.
No.
They're a video game company. They did Life is Strange.
Oh, right. Yes, I think they're a French company, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so. Like the first Life is Strange. I haven't played the second one, but the first Life is Strange is great. And one thing they said about characters is that when they originally pitched the idea to the studio that helped them out, I don't remember who it was, but the studio originally asked them if they could change one of the female leads to a male character, and they outright refused that because the story between Max Caulfield and Chloe Price was essential to it. So sometimes choosing the correct gender, even though that does sound a bit wrong, Like it shouldn't really matter. But sometimes there are stories that are for boys and stories that are for girls. It's just the way the world works because we go through different experiences depending on what that is. You can change it. You can become a different side of the track, or you can be somewhere in between. And there are stories for that too. But it's still separated by gender sometimes. And this was a very particular story for those characters in that setting.
Yeah, I do.
I think in relation to that, it doesn't really work. You can't really have a female play Bond because it's a male-oriented story with a rather misogynistic history.
Yeah.
Like, and that's our own problem to solve.
Like if it comes to like making your own, when it comes to that sort of thing, making like an original character is perfectly fine because when it comes to like your very own screenplay model that involves your own created property that involves a male created character or a female created character or whoever created character you come up with. I think that's definitely like something that would be very interesting to sort of tackle in terms of what the story is going to be about. But if you're going to like do an original IP and go, here is this actress playing James Bond, it's like I say, is forgetting the fact that I don't care about the franchise that much. For me, there has to be like a narrative reason why that would have to be the case.
Yeah.
Like, I think when it comes to like original properties and whatnot, I think it's a lot more interesting to sort of like have your characters change from person to person. Like say, the Guillermo del Toro making a movie that's like making movies that involve a male protagonist, and then shifting his course to movies that involve female protagonists. So that makes sense. That makes sense because they're like his own original like stories.
Yeah.
That he has free reign to do what he can do with those stories. But when it comes to like original IPs, you're going to be changing that character's like gender, like in the case of a female James Bond. Taking away the fact that I don't care about the franchise, it's definitely one of those like things that's going to be kind of like weird because, like you say, there's such a weird history with Bond.
Yeah.
And to sort of like change it is not really going to solve the problem. There's a very good problem. Sorry, not good problem. There's a very good way to solve the problem, and here's what it should be. If you're going to make a new Bond film that's going to have a new Bond, and you're going to still keep him male, and you're still kind of troubled by the history of Bond, then fucking do something about it. Go in the screenplay and
tell a better story.
Yeah, tell a better story. Maybe make it that he doesn't bang a woman in the story. Which I guess will probably hurt a lot of like Bond fans because it's like, hey, where's my sex in my Bond film? So
it's a subversion.
Yeah, so if you're gonna like make a Bond film and you're kind of worried about the misogynistic like stuff from the history of the Bond stuff, subvert the expectations. Don't make him do any of the stuff in the screenplay. And if you want to like go far, don't have him like having these sexual stuff happening in the screenplay. Just make him like this more. Just make your Bond more of this narrow focused guy who has a goal in mind, or make him more of a respectful human being. Like say he meets a woman who is going through a lot of stuff, and he's like, hey, it's fine. Like it's cool. I'm gonna go do this. And it's like, yeah, make Bond cool. Make him cool in that regard.
Yeah.
Like it's like if you really want to address the problem, make him like cool. I hate to say it because it's probably going to anger people who are going to listen to it, but make a woke Bond basically. Make him cool in that regard. Like, just address the issue in that way rather than just sort of going, here's a new Bond. And this Bond happens to be a woman. Like I say, I don't particularly mind either way. Because don't care. Female Bond, cool, whatever. But a male Bond with those sort of ideologies, that's pretty cool.
Seems like people need to get a bit more woke nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah, but like, the old phrase, go woke, go broke. Which is like the dumbest like phrase I've ever heard in my life.
Captain Marvel, more like Captain Feminist.
Like, genuinely, I
hate people who say that.
Yeah, like, here's the thing, right? Before we wrap this up, you can cut this out just to get a bit of a tangent. You know those like articles of the people who kind of coined the phrase "go woke, go broke."
Yeah.
Like the same people who like say Captain Marvel, more like Captain Feminist.
Yeah.
And they do these like very false reports that.
Those are tabloids, man.
They do these false reports that Captain Marvel is a box office bomb. Here's a fucking photo that I took in an empty cinema showing the case.
It's the state of the world. Everything has to be bought and sold, and so you have to say something in order to get people talking.
Yeah, and here's what I find strange about that. Captain Marvel is a Marvel property. It's gonna fucking do well.
Yeah.
And I find it hilarious when that happens, and like you don't really hear much from them again. It's just like, it's
been a bit of character development in comic books because she used to be called Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel was the Kree warrior, which she originally got her powers from, and now they've just taken that and made it wholly about her. That's a good development.
Yeah, so when it comes to like that sort of like thing and that stuff, it's ridiculous. The whole go book philosophy. Just get out of here.
And also, one of the best things that DC ever did was renaming Captain Marvel as Shazam.
Yeah, I remember talking to like my friend about this again.
It was so weird.
Yeah, I remember talking to my friend about this. The guy who loves like DC. He I like would consider Shazam to be the original Captain Marvel, which he technically is. And it's one of those things where it's like, I gotta be honest though, as a fan of like both properties, Shazam's the cooler name. I'm gonna be honest. Like as much as like both movies. Honestly, Shazam over Captain Marvel, because there are good things in Captain Marvel. There's just a lot of stuff in there that kind of like wasn't too great. But with Shazam, I love that movie. And I gotta be honest, I remember telling him, going, listen, as somebody who loves both things, and is also considered pretty woke, I think Shazam is kind of the better name. Just because Shazam rolls off the tongue a lot more, and it's just a lot more fun to say.
Yeah, well, it was the way he got his powers for the longest time, but they wanted to call him something, and so they called him Captain Marvel. But then they just figured it was easier because people kept getting confused.
Yeah, and I think there was also kind of a lawsuit thing that happened as well, where like I think Marvel named the character Captain Marvel, and then like they tried to bring him back, and they're like, oh nope, you can't use that name anymore because we bought the rights.
DC and Marvel have swapped characters almost on the fly for years.
Yeah, it's more of a weird history when you look into it. Like that has more of a weird history surrounding it. But hey, in terms of what name is better, I like Captain Marvel. But in terms of I like Captain Marvel and I like Shazam equally. I love them both. But when it comes to like names, Shazam's got the better name because. Yeah. Imagine walking to like a cinema or going to whatever place and going, "Hey, have you seen Shazam?" And just suddenly you become a grown ass like Zachary Levi in a giant leotard, and you're like, "Oh my god, how did I get here?"
With the wisdom of Solomon.
But yeah. Before we do go though, I gotta recommend you a film that's going to be coming out on Netflix, if that's okay. I know we talked for like almost 2 hours, but
yeah, we'll probably be wrapping up very soon.
All right. So since you mentioned the movie, which was Code 8.
Yeah.
I'm going to mention a movie to you that I saw.
All right.
That I think you should check out. It's coming out on Netflix on the 31st.
Okay.
Have you heard of Uncut Gems?
No.
You haven't heard of Uncut Gems?
Nope.
Oh my god, I get to make a sales pitch.
Oh,
okay, get the sales pitch klaxon ready. Okay, so Uncut Gems is a new like crime drama from the Safdie brothers, who directed Good Time with Robert Pattinson.
Okay.
And Good Time is basically, it stars Adam Sandler.
Red flags already.
Hold on. It's not the grown-up sequel we all wanted or needed. Uncut Gems is about this character called Harold Ratner, played by Sandler, who is like this sort of like what do you call it? He's a jeweler in the Diamond District of New York City. Okay. And he's also a gambling addict and owes a lot of money to like these loan sharks.
Classic.
He gets like his hands on this like rare black opal gem that has a lot of power to it, apparently. So much power that Kevin Garnett, the actual NBA player Kevin Garnett, shows up. Yeah. And it's like a plot I'm making up with the spot, but trust me, this is the actual plot to fucking Uncut Gems. He shows up and he's like, and he believes like this thing has like mystical powers. So after he borrows it like for a little bit to sort of like play a game, and he wins the game, and he believes there's like some magical property to this like opal gem. So Sandler, who owes money to this mob, who has this opal gem like taken away from him that he is probably going to sell for millions of dollars, and other and familiar issues going on where he's separating from his wife, he has to like try get this gem back and pay off the loan sharks. It's a classic like plot that kind of feels like it's been straight out of the 70s, and Adam Sandler is terrific. And I'm deadly serious. Adam Sandler is like the best he's been in years in this movie. He plays this character like not as a typical Adam Sandler. Let's go get the performance.
Yeah,
it's Adam Sandler playing a character. Like, and this character, who is a complete scumbag in the film, he is like he's kind of like irredeemable in places. Like he's the sort of guy, if you meet him in real life, you'd probably want to stay away from him. Not that he's like a horrible person. It's just you wouldn't want to be associated with a guy who lies through his teeth a lot. But there's something very charming about Ratner's character. Like he's a massive scumbag, but there's something like he has this sort of like silver-tongued personality where just he can sell you on anything.
Well, y'all seen Breaking Bad.
Yeah, but the difference between Walter White and Howard is that Walter at least is in control a majority of the time. Howard is a man who wishes he's in control, and just things don't go his way.
So it's more of a Better Call Saul situation.
Kind of, yeah. So, Howard is the sort of guy who imagines himself to be like this big great talker, like who could sell people on anything, but things don't go his way, and like things legitimately happen where he will do stuff in the film where you're outright you'll want to scream at the screen, what the fuck are you doing? Stop that. That's not how you do business around here, Adam. And he just continues to do it because, there's an addiction to what he's doing. And just Adam Sandler is just amazing in the movie. He's fantastic. And even the Safdies as directors are fantastic. Like if you're looking for like any inspiration to like make movies that have very simple plots but have a lot going on for them, check it out. It comes out on Netflix on the 31st.
Nice. And
you need to watch it. Like, if you don't know anything about it just yet, don't watch a trailer for it. Watch it blind. And when you watch it blind, I want you to message me. And I want to talk about it with someone who is watching it with no knowledge of it whatsoever.
All right.
All you know about it is that it has Adam Sandler. It's made by the Safdies, who made Good Time, which you should also check out because it's very, very good. And Uncut Gems is just fucking brilliant. So much so that I went to see it. I did at the cinema. Like Filmhouse was showing it until today. So I went to see it like at the Filmhouse. They were showing it because I think they have this amazing deal with Netflix where they show movies. Like they showed The Irishman before it came out on Netflix. So I went to see it at a 2:00 screening last Friday. I walked out of it and I loved it so much. I went right back in to see it again. Like that's how much I love the movie. It's such a bolt of energy to the balls. Or a ball of energy to the gut, that everything about the film is just well made and just so well performed, and it's just such an intense ride. It's not even like an action film or like it's well choreographed or anything. It's just a guy making a series of increasingly bad decisions, who believes he has a good luck charm and he could win these things. And you're watching this guy's like life kind of implode right in front of your eyes. And it's not like a heavily dramatic thing where just like everything goes wrong for him. It's there's moments of comedy where things go wrong for him, but it's a story where like things go wrong in a way where you just want him to like stop being so stupid of his ambitions. But yeah, I recommend it. It's absolutely fantastic.
Well, I guess I'll have to try it now.
Yeah, damn right you have to try it. It's fantastic. Also got snubbed, and trust me, when you see this film, even if you think it's okay, even if you think 3 out of 5, what's the big deal? You're probably going to be annoyed that it got snubbed at the Oscars.
All right, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. Also, before we go, I want to make a vow. I promised this at the beginning of the episode. I want to make sure I get it in here just so it gives me motivation to do it.
Okay.
You've been telling me to watch Banshee.
Yes.
And
for like years now.
Yes, and I'm now getting to a point now where I've kind of wrapped up some of the shows I'm going to check out now. So, I'm going to watch Banshee.
About fucking time!
So, I'm going to plan, maybe not this weekend, but at some point, to watch Banshee. And I'm making this promise on this episode. And what I'm going to do, just so I can surprise you with this one, is that when I watch an episode, I want you to check in on it. I want you to check in that I've watched actual episodes of Banshee.
Okay.
We've recorded me saying I will full on watch it. And
great, now I'm going to have to pull up scenes from Banshee just to make sure I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, or even just posters. The audience will just look at the poster and go, oh, hey, I know that poster. It's very iconic.
How about this guy box sets of each season for his birthdays and Christmases for like a year and a half now, and he hasn't even cracked one yet.
I mean, to be fair, it's quite smart, though. I have them there. They're sitting there. Well, three of them. I don't even have the fourth one yet. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, say no more.
What if you don't like them? You could quit it like episode 2, and then you just got box sets sitting on your shelf that you're never going to watch it.
I mean, I'm probably going to like it. The premise sounds amazing. It sounds interesting. It sounds intriguing. Anyway, so... not that a punishment will happen. I don't want you to like sort of like slap me in the face or anything. Nothing like that. Just, I am vowing to watch it. And every time you check up on me, I will tell you who it is.
Okay.
Not in a detailed, welcome to the special episode where we talk about Banshee, but in a general way where it's like, yep, I'm keeping up with it, or no, I'm a big dumb baby brain. But either way, I'm making a vow. I'm going to try watch it.
Well, I'm going to commit to it.
Yeah, I'm going to commit to watching Banshee, and I'm going to record evidence of it in front of all these wonderful people. Speaking of which, we probably went on for so long, longer than expected. And I want to thank everybody who is listening to us, because this is a first-time endeavor, and I think we managed to pull it off just fine.
Yeah, I mean, think the opposite end of this. They've had to listen to us for 2 hours. This must be excruciating at this point.
Yeah, well, people know me. They'll probably it's already kind of excruciating for those who know me.
Yeah, and our 32 subscribers.
Hey! So, listen, thank you so much for tuning in.
Yeah, dudes, thanks for listening. Or if you're just cutting to the end of this from the beginning, hi.
Hello.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome. Well, also, we should probably do what we're going to do for what we're going to do here with this podcast. Are we going to do every 2 weeks?
Yeah, so every 2 weeks, you, me, and hopefully Emily, she can come along.
And maybe some other guests in the future, probably.
Yeah, we'll be watching some films, watching some TV series, bringing them here, talking some interesting stuff, bringing up some unique topics.
Yeah.
Seeing if we can get some intelligent conversation going on.
Yeah, maybe sprinkle in a few hot takes now and again.
Or just descend into madness, whatever works.
So yeah, thank you very much, guys. And if you want to enjoy some of our filmmaking endeavors, we have short films on our YouTube channel that are very good, I guess.
I mean, sure, if that's the word you want to use.
I mean, I didn't want to be too negative in case you're like, hey, I worked very hard on one.
They're not terrible, I want to say.
But we try our best of them. We have no money sunk into them. We try our best.
No budget films that we do completely by ourselves with our own equipment, with a little bit of help sometimes here and there from very nice people.
Yeah, and those people are listening, thank you. We appreciate your support.
Yeah.
And also, you're going to follow us on Twitter. I'm at the Sean Scallion on Twitter. You're going to follow me and my weird rambling nonsense on movies and other such good things.
You can find me at Naive Neil.
So from Neil and myself, thank you for listening to the podcast, and I hope you have a nice day. I think, should we end podcasts on these or just a random thing?
Well, they're probably going to leave now, so have a nice life.
Bye.